You know I've traveled near and far, see the shining sea. I've seen a lot of places and people that were nice to me. One place that's in my heart, and this is how I feel. I'm talking about my hometown, Fayetteville. She's nestled in the sand hills on a river called Fayetteville. Special to so many who proudly served our country here. She was named for Lafayette and known for cotton mills. I'm talking about my hometown, Fayetteville. My hometown, Fayetteville. I'm so proud to be from here. It don't take long when you're away from home to find out how you feel. It's always good to come home to Fayetteville. Babe Ruth hit his first one, heard around the world. Sherman marched with the Union and burned the arsenal. Old Market House still standing, but stands for freedom's will. I'm talking about my hometown, Fayetteville. My hometown, Fayetteville. I'm so proud to be from here. It don't take long when you're away from home to find out how you feel. It's always good to come home to Fayetteville. My all-American city, Fayetteville. Talking about my hometown, Fayetteville.
I'd like to welcome everyone to Tuesday, May 29th, 2018, Fayetteville City Council meeting. As we call the meeting to order, I ask that Pastor Michael Mathis from the Mission Field Ministries, if he would come to the podium at this time. I ask that all would rise for the invocation. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pastor, how are you?
Real good, Mayor. Thank you. Father, once again, we are grateful for your sovereignty. We thank you for your omnipresence. We're so grateful, God, for your loving kindness and your mercy upon all of the earth, especially here in Fayetteville and upon this state. God, we thank you. We're always reminded, God, of how frail we are and our great need for you. And in remembering this, Lord, we ask you now as you look upon us to forgive us for any unrighteousness or anything, God, we have erred in our walk with you or in our life and collectively. Father, we ask that you would cleanse us now. We thank you for your abundant grace over this city and this state. We declare and decree abundance, favor, and continued blessings upon this city. We continue, God, to give thanks to you for our leadership. Thank you for Mayor Colvin and his family, all of the city council members, and always remembering, God, to give you thanks for our first responders as they continue to put their lives in harm's way to protect, defend, and to heal the many people in this city. God, we thank you for your move here. And, oh, Lord, as we call upon you this evening, we ask you, God, that you would grant the board wisdom once again, Lord, as they have prepared an agenda to execute this, oh, Lord, in the best interests of this city. In Jesus' name, amen.
Yeah. Pledge of allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pastor Mathis, tell us a little bit about your ministry and yourself.
Well, once again, Mayor Colvin, it's an honor to be able to serve, especially here in Fayetteville. And briefly, Mission Field Ministries, located at 3429 Black and Decker Road. We continue to be a ministry of love and purpose and a mission-oriented ministry, whereby we are pretty much at the forefront when it comes to nursing homes, in the prison, in the community. One of the things I would like to make mention of is our continued prayers that God will continue to position us as a ministry in the event of a disaster here in our city. We'll be positioned to help our community. The Red Cross is still in the process of certifying our building as a shelter, but we're well on the way for that, and we'll feel real good about that. Thank you so much.
God bless you for what you do, sir.
Yes, sir.
Council, at this time, ask that the members of, as we present the Fayetteville building inspectors, I see that great-looking team in the Bergen, if you all meet me at the podium.
Yes, this evening we're going to read a proclamation from the office of Mayor Colvin, for Building Safety Month, and just how great and most awesome our city employee staff is. So the proclamation reads, whereas building and construction code ordinance enhancement security of our citizens and communities and save countless lives by helping ensure our buildings are safe, efficient, and livable. And whereas building safety and fire prevention officials, architects, engineers, builders, tradespeople, design professionals, laborers, and others in the construction industry work year-round to address building safety concerns, including safeguards to minimize the impact from natural disasters such as ice and snowstorms, hurricanes, tornadoes, fires, floods, and earthquakes, playing a vital role in ensuring the safety of our critical infrastructure. And whereas the annual observance of Builder Safety Month calls attention to the life safety services provided by local and state building departments, fire prevention bureaus, and federal agencies. Whereas the City of Fayetteville is a safe and more efficient due to the work performed by the dedicated professionals of the Planning and Inspections Department. And whereas building codes save lives. The theme for Building Safety Month encourages all Americans to raise awareness to the importance of building safe and resilient construction, fire prevention, disaster mitigation, water safety and conservation, energy efficiency, and new technologies in the construction industry. Now, therefore, I, Mitch Colvin, Mayor of the City of Fayetteville, North Carolina, and on behalf of the City Council and a city of more than 208,000 residents, do hereby honorably proclaim the month of May in the year 2018 as Building Safety Month, and urge all of our residents to pay tribute to our building safety and fire prevention officials, architects, engineers, buildings, tradespeople, design professionals, laborers, and to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protect our health, safety, and quality of life. Signed, Mayor Mitch Colvin.
On behalf of the department, I want to thank you for this, and I'm going to ask them to just say their names and their positions so you get to hear the fine folks who are dealing with the community every day. So, starting with our supervisor, you can just say it there, say it loud enough, say it proud.
interim plant reviewer and chief mechanical inspector.
Michael Yarborough, mechanical inspector.
Robert Jackson, mechanical inspector.
Crystal Payne, interim supervisor for building inspection.
Blaine Hall, building inspector.
Charles Carr, building inspector. Russ Willard, building inspector.
Thank you, guys.
And now we will have special award presented to Ann Chestnut Middle School by Council Member Larry Wright. Is Principal Phyllis Jackson and staff present? Wow.
Let's give him another hand.
All right. Well, this is a certificate of appreciation presented to Ann Chestnut Middle School in recognition of the leadership from Principal Jackson and her staff in leading their students to understand the importance of decisions for future successes. Presented May 10th, 2018, initiated by Councilmember Larry Wright. Give him a round of applause.
Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to say a few words about Ann Chestnut and the Principal Jackson and the students and staff there. I recently went, maybe about 2 weeks ago, to do a live talk to the students. I was so impressed with the principal, with her vision, and also the staff and the students, the questions that they asked me. It was so fulfilling to me. And I asked them what they were going to be after they graduate from college and go and move forward in life. And I was so impressed with their enthusiasm, how they were focused on what I was saying about decision making. And it was just a moving experience for me. And I want to thank Principal Jackson for doing such a great job with the students out there and her staff, and also the students that, you know, just pump hope into me that we have great leaders for our future. Thank you so much, students. Go forth in the world and do great things. Let's give them another round of applause. Thank you. Do you want to say anything?
Thank you all for what you do. This time I'll recognize Councilmember Jensen. Then we have a few announcements to make.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If I could have Sarah Williams to come on up. Is that Sarah? Come on up to the podium here so everybody can see you. Sarah came up to our meeting tonight, and Sarah was picked to be a media glitz girl.
Media girls.
Girls, media glitz girls. And I wanted to tell you kind of how she got this and her note that she got to say that she was a glitz girl. We were so impressed by Sarah's courage, confidence, and character that we would love to offer her one of the 15 spots of our 2018-19 Media Glitz team. Girls team, I'm sorry. That's pageant world to me, I'm sorry. Selection was based on her application, interview, and needs for the group. The Media Girls program is a year-long commitment, and members of the team will participate in a variety of media-related opportunities, which will include things like visiting a news station for an interview, creating a video, and our council social media, speaking at council events, and more. And I wanted to thank Sarah tonight that she picked us to be her first little job to see how things were going to roll with her. So welcome and thank you. Do you want to tell them what school you go to?
I go to St. Anne's Catholic School downtown.
And how old are you?
9 years old.
9 years old, and what grade?
Fourth.
Fourth
Going
grade.
to fifth.
Going to fifth. You're a rising fifth grader now. There.
Phaedra Vassetti is in good hands. Give her a round of applause. Thank you. All right, Council, at this time we'll ask that we'll have an update from the Dogwood Festival Committee. Ms. Carrie King.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. As the mayor said, I'm Carrie King. I'm the executive director of the Fayetteville Dogwood Festival, and it is my pleasure to be here this evening to simply say thank you to the city of Fayetteville and for their partnership in what was an unbelievable year. This year, I don't know what it was, but all the stars were aligned, and it was an absolutely flawless, perfect weekend. In my 12-plus year history, this was the largest crowd we'd ever had, the best weather we've ever had, and hands down the biggest event that our community has ever seen. So we just simply wanted to say thank you to the city of Fayetteville. My top dogs, which I have some of them here with me this evening, we work around the clock all year long to make this event happen, but it simply does not happen without the collective partnership of both of us, the city of Fayetteville and our nonprofit organization. We simply cannot do what we do without the city of Fayetteville and your staff, which I would like to take just a second to recognize two of your members, or two of your staff members. They're an extension of our staff, to be quite honest with you. Lee Roundtree and Walt Gabriel, they are the two they're the electricians. They're the ones that unlock and lock the buildings for us. They're the first ones in, last ones out, just as we are. And those guys are prime examples of what city employees should be. They are awesome to us. They never say no to us. And just when we think that we've had all the challenges we could ask for, we keep getting handed new stuff, and those guys knock it out of the park for us every single year. As you all know, we were challenged this year coming up with a new footprint, and collectively we worked together with our partnership with the city of Fayetteville. Christoph worked very hard to help us. Thank you for helping us find our way through that. We're very appreciative. And again, we simply cannot do what we do without the city of Fayetteville, so we would like to say thank you. Yes, you guys make us look great. I'd also like to mention to you all that during this event, which, again, everything worked out perfectly, we had an economic study produced during our event. We invited a gentleman from Chandler Thanks from Clarksville, Tennessee, to come down. He's an industry rep that I have met attending seminars and things of that sort, and he produced an economic study for us, which I know our group was surprised with the number that he came out with us, or for us. And just a few highlights from his report include that 70% of our patrons were repeat attendees, 97 plan to return to the Dogwood Festival in 2019, 83% of overnight attendees stayed at least 2 nights, and the average spend for a day tripper, which is someone local, they spent $23.12 per person, and our overnight guests spent an average of $130.18. Collectively, we had 250 to 275,000 attendees, and our overall economic impact for our event and for our community is $8.1 million. So we thank you. We work very hard to make sure that Fayetteville is a great place to live, work, and play. And again, we are appreciative of all of the efforts from everyone within the city, your staff, and at this time I would like for my top dogs who are here to stand and be recognized, because these guys are the ones who actually give of their time, talents, and services all year long for free. So thank you. Thanks again, and we're really not sure how we're going to top next year. Thank you.
Ms. King, I just want to say I attended several days of that, and you did an outstanding job. It was inclusive, it was diverse, and like you said, the stars aligned. It was a great event, so thank you.
Absolutely, thank you.
I just wanted to say you did a great job. I enjoyed it as well, and look forward to it again next year.
It's going to be a good one. We're looking forward to it too.
Mr. Manager, you have something you need to add at this time?
Sorry, just wanted to say it's reciprocated from the staff as well to your folks and your committee. It's been a real pleasure to work with you over the last couple of years, and I know that you say you don't know how you're going to top next year, but you always do. So we're looking forward to great things.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Christoph, I promise, no more phone calls for a long time. I promise.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thanks. Before we pivot on to the other items of business as well, if this would be an appropriate time for the staff recognition very quickly.
Yes, sir.
One of the things that we like to do is we like when we are recognized for the talent on our staffs. And but one of the things that with that we also dislike, though, is when folks like our staff members so much that they decide they want to poach our staff. And that happened to us recently. And Jane, if you could you stand for us? Ms. Jane Starling has been with the City of Fayetteville for 8 years, 5 of that as the Deputy City Clerk. She was recently appointed and tapped to be the Hope Mills Town Clerk, and we are happy and elated for her. But as you can imagine, we're also devastated she'll be leaving us. But if the council would join me in congratulating her on her appointment, but also thanking her for her service. Thank you.
Anyone that deals with the 10 of us plus the 2 of you all needs recognition. Council, at this time, we have set aside 50 minutes to hear from the District 2 candidates who submitted applications Friday before last. To the candidates, welcome tonight. We would ask that you would please abide by the council's policies, which is 5 minutes. I know it's a short time frame to sell yourself and to tell the council what it is you would like for us to know, but we will have to hold to that schedule to maintain fairness. And so at 5 minutes, Madam Clerk, is it set up to do the alerts at a minute out or 30 seconds out?
After 4 minutes, it'll
4 minutes.
do an alert.
At 4 minutes, you will hear some form of warning, and you'll have a minute to wrap it up. And if not, then I'll have to impose. I hate to do that, but we'll have to do that to maintain. So please work with me. To the audience, this is a very important process. We appreciate the statesmen and the professionalism that you all have shown to us during this time. And we ask tonight that I'm sure that you will continue that spirit. But we ask that as the candidates speak about themselves, if you can please refrain from any comments or applauses in between to give fairness to abide by the schedule that the council has put forth for them. And so we don't want to spend 30 seconds in between the candidates introducing themselves for applauses or so forth. And we ask that you would please abide by that. All right. So at this time, there has been an order that has been placed in alphabetical order. I'll call each candidate by your name, and when your name is called, please come to the podium, and your time will begin, starting with Ms. Patricia Bradley.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and citizens of Fayetteville. Many of you already know me from my work at the City of Fayetteville as an assistant city attorney previously, and my work in the community with various boards and community service organizations, including the Rape Crisis Center, Great Oak Youth Development, the Reveille House, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority, and Jack and Jill Incorporated. Through the years, I've had a front row seat to, and I've observed the hard work that each of you have done alongside our city staff, who is charged with implementing your vision. I don't think that there is a city department or a board that I have not worked directly with, so I understand their mission as well. I am Patricia Bradley. I am a lawyer. I am a veteran. I'm a wife. I'm a mother. And I have over 23 years of public service experience. My devotion to being of service to others, my life experiences, and my professional skill set in municipal government and government contracts makes me the best representative for District 2. I have lived for 10 years in Haymount, often referred to as Haymount Hill. However, I have never been one to sit on top of that hill looking down. Rather, my journey is akin to the struggle that many of us experience climbing up that hill. My journey is one that perhaps you can relate to, whether you are in Haymount Hill, in Massey Hill, on Langdon Street, or on Sky Drive. I grew up in the South, the daughter of a black man and a white German mother. My father was stationed at Fort Bragg after Vietnam. Neither of my parents graduated from high school, and we lived in a trailer park community in Spring Lake, North Carolina. Growing up, my family, as many of our residents from the trailer park areas and other low-income areas, were living and working paycheck to paycheck while doing the best that they could. So I know what it's like to grow up in places that seem to have been forgotten. This intimate understanding of hardship has prepared me to be a fierce advocate for under-resourced communities. After all, fixing access to water and electricity is a local job, and it's as local as it gets. And I care about figuring out how we can make sure that it doesn't happen again in any part of our community, whether it's an affluent neighborhood or a trailer park community like the one where I was raised. Later in life, after our parents divorced, my sister and I grew up in eastern North Carolina with a single dad. I saw how he struggled to find job opportunities, even as a veteran. I remember receiving free lunch, sometimes embarrassed, but most times simply grateful to have a meal. So I see myself in the faces of the kids who live on the Wilmington Road area, who are on free or reduced lunch, with hope in their hearts and a promise of a better future. The promise that we owe them to keep, the promise of a good education and job opportunities. I was fortunate to break the cycle of poverty for my family by going to college and receiving multiple degrees, 2 from Howard University, 1 from the Army, and the last from UNC Chapel Hill as a North Carolina Public Leader Fellow, all on academic or merit scholarships. I know that education has the potential to be an equalizer, and I'm committed to not shutting the door behind me, but rather figuring out how to bring others along with me. And with all of my degrees and accomplishments, you'll never see me pretend to be the smartest person in the room, but I will be one of the hardest working. I will always work hard, as I did for the city as an employee. I left the city under very good terms. My evaluations, they reflect the hard work that I did, and the city itself can tell you that my departure had nothing to do with consent searches or any other made-up issues that my opponents may want you to fall for. I'm not a controversy. I'm just an unexpected option. We're building a $37.8 million baseball stadium in District 2, where there are families around the corner who are hungry, who have limited transportation options, and who lack internet connectivity in their homes. If we think creatively, we can make sure that in addition to building a state-of-the-art stadium, we also figure out how to bring opportunities to them. Finally, in my career, there have been instances where I've had to offer opinions that were unpopular, just as you, the City Council, has had to make decisions that are sometimes very unpopular. But I can assure you that every opinion that I've rendered, whether popular or not, was not based on my personal feelings, but the law, which has always been my duty to uphold. I have shared a vision with the City Council. I have the qualifications, the training, and experience that would be an asset to the council. And finally, but most importantly, I have shared life experiences with the citizens of District 2. I didn't just land on top of Haymount Hill. I share in my struggle for that climb daily. I care deeply for my community. I'm committed to not leaving any neighbor behind. I am purpose prepared and positioned to serve.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll get it at the end, promise. All right. Mr. Lynn Brown.
Good afternoon. My name is Lynn Brown, and thanks for the opportunity to speak with you. I am of good character and reputation. I'm knowledgeable of local, state, and national politics. I'm articulate and fluent in several languages and dialects, and I'm a great organizer. I know District 2. I've been here since 1952. I know every street, every corner. One of the things that makes me a good choice is I can create more jobs in District 2 than anybody else. I have the experience in creating jobs. I started my first business when I was in high school. I was making $30 an hour when my father was making $1.80. It was amazing to me in a free country where there are obvious disparities. And I taught my father how to get into business, in spite of the fact that he could not read as well as he should have. He went from $1.80 to $30 to $50 an hour immediately, without any additional college education, without any additional uniforms. He was an expert carpenter, but there was a policy that you didn't get but $1.80. I will bring these particular skills to the people of District 2. They need somebody to work for them directly, somebody who knows the system. I will work for the council and see that your objectives are accomplished as far as the stadium is concerned, but I believe the people in District 2 deserve someone who can work with them to develop some jobs, to develop some opportunities, to develop some legitimate base to hope for a future. The city has grown up around them, even though District 2 is populous, over 20,000 people, their opportunities are somewhat limited. I believe District 2 needs a full-time representatives, especially since many of them are still recovering from the flood. They're still recovering from the flood. I will develop strategies in District 2 to combat the homeless problems. The problems in District 2 and much of North Carolina are just economic problems. One of the things I've learned about making money, and I do a great many different businesses, is that when you understand what money is like, let me give you just a brief analysis of how things really work. The further you get away from the land, the more dependent on other people you become. In my pocket, I have 2 apple seeds. These 2 apple seeds represent the potential of 2 apple trees. Do you know that 2 apple trees produce 400 apples each tree? And each apple has 12 seeds. What I'm saying is I have in my pocket enough wealth to feed my grandchildren for 500 years. 2 apple seeds. That's how the world really works. Not on somebody else providing you jobs, but on you going back and learning how to produce wealth for yourself. And I'm the person who will do it for District 2. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Mr. Brown and then Ms. Bradley, I did, before we call the next candidate up, can you state your address, sir, just for the record? And Ms. Bradley, can you state your address as well? And any candidate coming forth, if you state your name and address, that would be appreciated. Thank you.
I live at 513 Frink Street, F-R-I-N-K. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, Patricia Bradley, 1408 Jordan Street.
Thank you, ma'am. It's time if we could have Ms. Vernell Cruz. How are you?
It's a pleasure to be here. Quite frankly, I'm nervous. I've never done anything like this before. And I hope this is not my 3 minutes, because I just want to explain to you. I don't know how to actually talk like they do, but I know what needs to be done, okay?
Okay, give me your name and address.
Yeah, my name is Vernell Cruz. I live at 217 Lincoln Drive in Fayetteville, North Carolina. I've been living in Fayetteville for like 6 years and 9 years in Spring Lake, okay?
Can you speak into the mic for us?
Oh, I'm sorry. I've been living in Fayetteville for 6 years and 9 years in Spring Lake. So I've been here approximately 16 years. And I have seen some of the problems that are here. I tried to compare them to the big city where I come from. Okay, first of all, I see y'all trying to fix up that hotel or whatever you're trying to do with it. They got homeless people living under the bridge where I live. I live in a senior community, and that's dangerous because some of them have mental issues. Most likely, some of them don't want to hurt us or anything. That's fine. They don't even bother us. But, I mean, you never know. Then my main issue is I'm afraid for my life because the building that I live in has 1 elevator. The next building has just 1 elevator, and it's 3 floors in that building. In my building, it's 2 floors. They were going to put me in a, what you call that, a townhouse. But when they realized that I have a disability and I can't go up the stairs, they said no. But yet they put me on the 2nd floor. When there's a fire or a fire drill, the elevator shut down. Everybody want me to walk down the stairs. I can't do that. And I'm not the only one that's up there. There's other people up there, people in wheelchairs that cannot get down the stairs. I told that to the housing. I might get thrown out for saying that about, quite frankly, that's how it is. I told it to housing. She told me, she said, well, just go out on the porch. excuse me, I'm afraid of heights, okay? That's one. Number two is, I'm not climbing over that porch. I can't even climb over that table, okay? It's a lot of things that need to be done in that neighborhood. Some of the streets don't have sidewalks. Some of the streets are dark. Another thing, I want to advocate for the physically disabled, because I am physically disabled. So I want to advocate for them that they can have a better life. Because people look at us like we are ignorant. They talk down to me and try to explain things to me like I don't understand. I'm not ignorant. I'm going to be 65 next month. I got my common sense. But that's how they do. And I want to, like, stop people from with that stigma, because it don't make no sense. Because all of us don't have a mental issue. All of us are regular human beings. We just have a physical disability. I want to make my community better. I want to be able to, if I'm not elected, which I don't expect to be anyway, I just wanted to get up here, meet the people, and say what I had to say, okay? I want to work with someone to better my community. I don't mind working with one of them to better my community. I've been trying to get on the polls down here. They keep telling me they're full, which I know is not true. I don't believe it. I have the experience to work with the polls. I've been working with the polls for years. I have 3 or 4 certificates from district leaders. Y'all don't have no district leaders down here, but hey, I know about all of that. Okay, things change, but I want to do something for my community, and I keep getting pushed away, and I don't like it. Well, anyway, I thank you for the time, for letting me say what I wanted to say. I really appreciate it. God bless you all. Have a great
Thank
night.
you, Ms. Cruz.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Mr. Dan Cullerton.
Good evening.
Evening.
My name's Dan Cullerton. I feel a bit odd saying that because I know you all know me, and I've been active in this community for many years, and of course I was the District 2 choice over 9 other candidates in this past election in the primary. But before I get into that, and I know I only have 5 minutes here tonight, I feel it's important to first thank and recognize this council, not for allowing the D2 applicants here tonight, but for how you handled a very difficult situation. I mean, here we are at the brink of the largest economic development in our history, and within weeks of starting your term, you're faced with a situation that's not only embarrassing to our city, but had a chance of derailing all that. But this council didn't let that happen. You all put your differences aside, your political differences, your personal differences, to come together, to unify, to move our city forward. And for that, I think it should be commended. So thank you. That ability, the ability to work together despite whatever personal or political differences there may be, is what I've proven to be able to do. It's what I think is imperative in making a good council member. I know there are a lot of folks out here that want to stir that political pot, to create division, divisiveness within our community, just so they can promote their own personal agenda. But the people of District 2 are tired of that. The people of the city are tired of that. They want leaders who are going to represent them, who are going to be their voice on council. That is what District 2 voted for. That's what they deserve. You know, I had said throughout my campaign in this past election that citizen engagement, like everybody here tonight, that's the cornerstone of our democratic process. And those actions of engagement, of actually being involved, speaks much louder than words. Much louder than the words you're going to hear tonight, or the resumes of employment that you'll hear here tonight. My actions in the community were known far before I ever decided to serve my district on a broader basis. I have a heart for the people, for this community. I can tell you different jobs I worked, I can tell you different things I've accomplished, but that's not what I'm talking about. I believe you already know me. I believe the people know me because I've been out there in the community doing the work. I'm engaged in our community. They are familiar with me and my actions because I've been there actually doing the work. I have been there in the community watch meetings. I have been there volunteering. I have been there fundraising, starting local community organizations. I have given my time freely, not for a paycheck, but for a community, to better that community in which we live in. A community in which I served as planning commission, and a very diverse commission that elected me to chair it. And a position that's not paid for all the hours and efforts you all know that it takes to do that, but for the honor to serve the people. Now, I know there's been a lot of talk and discussion around who should council elect to represent District 2. And now we have 9 waiting to fill that seat. Despite only myself and one other who is dedicated enough and committed enough and passionate enough to actually put the work in just a couple months ago in this past election. So this places a large burden on you, the council, to try and verify what person they feel will best represent this district with integrity and fairness, but also to try and verify what person District 2 wants to represent them. So, to aid council in that task, I would respectfully like to point out for their consideration that out of all 9 candidates here tonight, I am the only one who a large majority of District 2 has already verified their support for with their votes. And I would ask, no, I would urge that council at least consider those wishes of the residents of District 2 during that decision-making process. So in closing, and I'm almost done here, I would like to touch upon the type of person I am, the type of representative I would be, so there's no confusion. First and foremost, I'm a family man of an honest and integrity. In fact, my family's here tonight. I'm a candidate in favor of the over $100 million project taking shape just across the street, largely because of the economic catalyst it has the potential it has to be, and the jobs it would create. We need jobs. And I want to ensure that the benefits and jobs are shared equally by all in this community. I'm a supporter of our parks and rec, and will work to see the skate park, the community center, and our athletic complex built, because our citizens deserve that. I'm an active supporter and revitalization experts of BC Corridor and those east of the river.
Mr. Cullen.
I will end. Thank you. I just want to say to everybody, thank you, and most importantly, thank you for the support of District 2 that they continue to give me. I am truly humbled by that. Thank you.
Thank you. Right. Again, please remind you, work with us on the time. I'm going to call Miss Mary Smith, Bunny English. Before we do that, I'd like to recognize former council members Mabel Smith and Val Applewhite in the audience. Welcome. Any other previous elected officials? Let's give them a round of applause for. All right. Miss Bunny English, Miss Mary Smith. How are you?
I am fantastic. Good evening. Just think I'm here and I'm smiling and it's nice. Okay. For those of you that don't know me, I am Mary Frances Smith, Bunny English, former broadcaster, a former newscaster, and a very volatile arguer to the Fayetteville City Council for quite some years. My home is District 2. I live in Fayetteville. I went to New Bowl Elementary School. I attended Washington Drive, and I also walked down Murchison Road when it was red clay. My mother and father are from Fayetteville, and my grandparents are from Fayetteville. My grandfather worked at the train station, and my grandmother worked on Haymont Hill with several families. This is something that I've told and done very hard. I should have been here a long time ago. I regret my delay in applying for the city council seat, any seat that has anything to do with District 2. Geraldine Myers was my aunt. She has a recreation center named after her in Savoy Heights. When I say I live in District 2, it's not only Hillsborough Street, it is Coley, what used to be Elliott Street. It is Savoy Heights, Chesterfield Drive, Southern Avenue, the Old Dunn Road. Might be getting on somebody's toes about there. But it's what I love. I'm a poll official, Precinct 19. I'm a former PTA teacher, a PTA president. Also, occasionally, I teach different writing skills. And above all else, I am a mother, a grandmother, and a great-grandmother, and extraordinarily proud. They all live in Texas. I don't know that much about your side of the seat, your chair, but I want to learn. I know all about mine, doing without, having to adjust, and then once or twice a year being able to go totally, absolutely, positively mad with money. But I want to learn, and I want to serve, and I above all want to do the right thing. Very honest person, I seem to think. Very truthful, hardworking, and let me tell you, when I get a bone, I don't let go of it very easily. As Mr. Tari said, I'm perfect for the city council. And God, I wish he was here today to see me. I thank you for your time and your attention. And know that if you select me, I will work very, very hard. And I won't let go. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Miss Mary Smith, can you give us your address, Miss Bunny?
Now, you know, Mr. Colvin, Mayor, where I live at, where all the complaints come from. 729 Hillsborough Street.
Thank you, ma'am.
Quite welcome.
All right. Mr. William Gothard. Hello, sir.
Good evening. My name is William. I go by Jay, and I live at 224 Hillside Avenue. Mr. Mayor, members of council, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the opportunity to speak with you this evening as a citizen interested in the vacant District 2 seat. Some of you know me, and some of you may not. I trust that you've had the opportunity to review my application and my resume, so I won't bore you with those details. Mr. George Brees once told me there are many ways to serve your community without running for political office. I've done that quietly and without fanfare. I have led and served on city commissions. I've worked for our city through my church, various civic organizations, clubs, and nonprofit boards. I offer you an impeccable record of service and leadership at the local, state, and federal level, both in and out of uniform. Like Senator and former councilperson Wesley Meredith, I too came here as a young trooper in the 82nd Airborne Division. But no matter where my military service took me, I always came home to Fayetteville. My wife is a Fayetteville native. We've lived on Hillside Avenue for 24 years. Both our boys were born here and raised here, and we're all proud to call Fayetteville our hometown. District 2 is arguably the most complex and racially, economically, and civically diverse district in the city. Only District 2 has a future baseball stadium and Fayetteville State University, an airport, and the Ann Street landfill. Homages to our heroes and the helplessness of our homeless. District 2 is not a Republican or a Democratic thing. It is not an African American or a Caucasian thing. It is not a military or civilian thing. It's not a wealth or poverty thing. Yet it is all of these. I empathize with many of our residents. I spent the first 4 years of my life in a seedy little trailer park. I worked after school and summer jobs. I studied hard in public schools to earn a scholarship. I became the first person in my family ever to attend college. The military gave me an opportunity for a successful career. I do understand this multifaceted Rubik's Cube of interrelationships that we call Fayetteville. You have the unenviable and unique opportunity to select who will represent us, all of us, who live and work, succeed and struggle in District 2. I'm not so naive to believe that every political agenda will be set aside in this selection process, but haven't we all suffered enough from the perception of moral and ethical lapses that embarrassed the entire community, left District 2 unrepresented, and led us to this crossroads? No matter whom you choose, some people will be unhappy, 9 of us in particular. If the appearance of your choice has the texture and taste of any agenda, then the perception will be that our city is trapped in the same old cesspool and that we accept the moral and ethical decline in leadership that brought us to this decision. We, the citizens of Fayetteville, deserve better than that. If I'm selected, I give you my word that I will faithfully represent every citizen of District 2 in this community. I will work as hard as each of you to study the issues, make tough decisions, and partner and cooperate with every member of this council to restore the faith in our city government and improve the lives of our fellow citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And Mr. Phillip, please forgive me if I mispronounce your last name. It's unintentional, but Mr. Phillip McCordell, yes, sir. But I know your face. How are you, sir?
I'm Philip McCorkadale. I live at 3814 Core Peak Drive, Fayetteville, North Carolina. Mr. Mayor, Council, Madam Clerk, Madam Attorney, Mr. City Manager, Senior Management Team, City Staff, citizens of District 2 and the City of Fayetteville. I come before you tonight. I want to say opportunity to thank you for allowing me to speak, to feel an opportunity to get to know me, and for the people that do or do not, for the possible applicant to fill Council District 2 seat within the City of Fayetteville. I was originally born here in the city back in '73. My father at that time was worked for the late Mr. Charles Fuller. At that time, he applied to be, his longtime dream was to become on the North Carolina Highway Patrol. He applied for that, accepting that, and they accepted him. And we transitioned and had to move around the state as he went through the chain of command, and as we moved up from one end of the state to the other. In 1992, after graduating, I came back here and attended Fayetteville State, where I currently went to work and have been working ever since. I have a strong skill set that I think would be beneficial to the citizens of District 2 and the City of Fayetteville. These are skill sets that one will need when trying to tackle the problems that District 2 and problems in the city that they reside. I believe that a person who looks at this needs to be able to make strong decisions based on stuff presented to them by their citizens and city staff, and make a clear decision when doing it. One thing I've done over the years as a civic service that I'm very proud of is I had the chance to serve as the head chair of the Cumberland County Local Emergency Planning Commission, which is encompassing of all county and city entities within this district and surrounding counties and industry. I had the privilege of serving on that as head chair of 5.5 of the 6 years of which I was on that. I also currently serve on your zoning commission, where it's been a very interesting process. As people said before, there are decisions you have to take upon evidence provided to you by staff and citizens, and sometimes those decisions are hard. But making sound decisions is a big process for one that will hold a District 2 seat. I would like to thank you for this opportunity and at this time, and appreciate your consideration for my application. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You can have Mr. George Mitchell. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Mr. Mayor, council members. My name is George Mitchell. I'm born and raised here in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Went through the Cumberland County Schools.
What's your address, Mr. Mitchell?
Oh, I'm sorry. 1501 Bridgeton Way, Fayetteville, North Carolina.
Thank you.
Okay. As I was stating, I'm a product of the Cumberland County school system. Being in the military, I have a chance to travel, learn different things, see different things. And some of the things that it's according to Fayetteville, but then again, too, we can have improvement. I spent over 20 years in the military, abroad, and also, too, here in the Fayetteville area, Fort Bragg. I have held many positions here in the Fayetteville area with different organizations. President of the PTA Union Association. Also to Fraternal Order of Police, I was secretary, and also to treasurer. Also to, I have been the past presidents, I had different situations that I had to settle or get involved, just like you as the city council. But there's decisions that you have to make. They might be popular, might be unpopular. But the thing is, I am willing to accept the challenge, as I did when I joined the military and spent 20 years and being retired, you know, from the military. I've also, too, held my North Carolina real estate broker's license and North Carolina insurance license. That gives me a chance to talk to people one-on-one, see what they are doing in reference to helping them out. And in District 2, there's a lot of people that needs help, and I'm willing to help them. Different other organizations I'm involved in is the VFW Post 6018. We assist people, and that's in our district. American League Post 202. We assist people, the schools. We talk to people. We also to help them also too. As a member of District 2 and hopefully being a chairperson, I'm willing to do the work. I've been doing the work ever since I can remember, by the military and also too being a civilian or retired. So again, thank you for the opportunity. There's a lot of things that I could say, but then again, you just see me and I'm giving you a short preview of what I have done and what I can do. I am retired now, and again, I can be accessible anytime. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Time if we can have Miss Sharon Moyer.
Good evening. My name is Sharon Moyer. I reside at 301 Broadfoot Avenue. I love our city. I moved here in 1987 as a young military bride, and it was not quite as lovable back then. I remember coming into town for the first time, seeing the neon lights and the women sitting in the doorways of the bars, and it was frightening for a small-town Midwestern girl. But look at how far we've come. While our city still has areas that need work, and many of them are in District 2, I am proud of the progress and excited for our future. I'd like to believe I've played a part in that. I've initiated programs and projects that have helped improve our city and shine a light on the positives. In the early 2000s, I started a mentoring program called FUN, Families United as Neighbors. This program helped pair a military spouse new to Fayetteville with a civilian mentor. The FUN group grew out of my own personal experience as a new military spouse and how I wished I had had someone familiar with the area to show me around. This program operated for many years under the Chamber of Commerce. In 2005, while I was the executive director of the Dogwood Festival, I led a city beautification project to revamp the Dogwood Trail. With help from volunteers, city staff, and staff from PwC, I was able to extend the Dogwood Trail to a 20-mile driving route featuring 31 historical sites architectural features, and points of interest, including Cape Fear Botanical Garden and the MLK Park. As part of this project, I worked with PwC to have more than 100 dogwood trees planted along that trail. For many years, our community has had trouble keeping our young professionals or enticing them to come back after college. Looking for a way to honor the rising leaders in our community, I started the Fayetteville Observer's 40 Under 40 program. And while I'm no longer with the Observer, the program continues to grow. This year was the 8th annual award ceremony, and they have honored 320 young professionals who make a difference in our community. I have a rich history of community involvement, but anyone who knows me will tell you that I am a fierce advocate for the children in our community. For nearly 25 years, I have been involved with the Partnership for Children of Cumberland County. It started in the early 90s when I was working for a pediatric speech and hearing clinic. We identified an issue with children starting kindergarten with speech and language delays. We knew we needed to get into their homes and to their child cares to be able to screen them, identify their delays, and start their treatments before they started kindergarten. But who could do this? Well, then along came Smart Start and the Partnership for Children. And seeing firsthand the impact early childhood programs and family support made in the lives of the people we worked with, I knew this organization was special. There is no greater impact that we can make in our community than to improve the quality of life for children and their families. And after more than 2 decades as a volunteer, I went to work for the partnership. And I'm excited to be part of the life-changing programs initiated and supported by the partnership. One of those programs was presented here to you just a few weeks ago. It was North Carolina's first community child abuse prevention plan and our aggressive goal of reducing child maltreatment in our community by 90% by the year 2030. In 2007, I found myself not only a single mom raising a preteen daughter, but also a single woman caring for my elderly mother. Being a parent is hard. Being a single parent with little to no help from the other parent is extremely difficult. But I know that I'm lucky. I have a strong support network, I have a good job, and I own a home. But nearly 43% of the single moms in our community live in poverty. We can do better. And that is why I'm involved in the anti-poverty initiative, Pathways for Prosperity. I'm also very concerned about crime. My elderly mother lives with me, and in the past 2 years alone, we have been awakened by 7 shots of gunfire and had a bullet hit our house. We experienced a 4:30 a.m. home invasion while we slept. And on Easter Sunday night, a mentally handicapped man was beaten to the point of unconsciousness in front of my house. I know what it is like to be afraid in my home. I moved to District 2 when I bought my home 5 years ago, and until late last year, I was very pleased with my representation. My new council member, though, was not responsive to my questions or concerns. So between recent events with District 2 representation and my personal experiences with crime, I have reached my tipping point. I know that I can be a leader for District 2. I am forward-thinking and open-minded. I am accountable and responsible. I foster creativity and innovation, and I work to establish impactful relationships with others. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. All right. And last candidate, Mr. George Turner. Hello, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I am George Turner. I live at 1012 Kane Road, which shows you the distance of District 2 because I'm in Utah. I'm way out in Utah. I think I know most of you, but being number 10, I think I'm unprepared. I didn't come with a speech. I agree with everything that everyone has said tonight about the condition of District 2. I couldn't argue with any of that. They not only lack representation, they need a cheerleader, and they need someone to radically address their problems that they continue to have. I was with the Fayetteville Association of Realtors when we helped with the B Street Coalition. I was at the church with the meeting that you held. There's an awful lot of unhappy people there. I'm a third-generation lifelong resident of Fayetteville, and my application I sent you included a resume with all of the things I've done. I hope you got that. If you didn't, I brought copies. But all I can say is I'm more than prepared to step forward and do this. My resume shows 23 years, as yours, of public service. I'm on your Fayetteville Historic Resources right now. I'm on the Cumberland County Board of Adjustments, and I've served on many other that you see there. I won't bore you with that. I agree with everything that everyone said, and you need a strong leader to step in place to do that, and I'm prepared to help. Thank you very much.
Thanks, sir. Can we give all of the candidates a round of applause? So, candidates, I'd like to thank you for applying. Thank you for your willingness to serve. Thank you for abiding by the 5-minute time frame. Thank you for putting yourself up for public service. I'd like to remind everyone that the next step will be on June the 5th at 6 p.m. We'll have a public forum where we, city council members, will hear from the public. So we look forward to your input. And so we want to make sure that we've covered all of our bases with candidates, with the public, and then the council will make an ultimate decision on June the 11th, which is the proposed schedule at this point. But thank you all for your willingness to serve. So, council, as we move forward to item 5.0 is the approval of the agenda. Look for a motion to approve, and I think there were a couple of amendments.
Mr. Mayor, if to please the council, I would move that we approve the agenda with the following exception. Item 6.02 be pulled for a public hearing.
Council, we'll give just a few minutes while those in transition before. Yeah, council, let's look for maybe a 5-minute break. Okay.
Take care, man.
All right, council, we'll call the meeting back to order. We're at item 5.0 was the approval of the agenda. I thought I saw Councilmember Art. Did I see your light, sir?
Mr. Mayor, let me make a motion to approve the agenda first.
Okay, there's a motion by Council. Okay, had two simultaneous seconds. So I'll go with Councilmember Waddell. So there's a motion by Councilmember Art. Ladies first, Councilman. And there's a second by Councilmember Waddell. Madam Attorney, you have some guidance for us?
Just whether you were planning to pull item, I do apologize, Mayor, item 8.01 and set that for the work session.
Yeah, that was my understanding as well, Councilmember Art.
Yes, let me amend that motion to approve the agenda with the exceptions of pulling item hang on.
8.01.
Hang on. 8.01. Now, just for clarification, 7.05 is just going to be the public hearing, right? Okay, 8.01. Pull that.
All right, there's an amended motion. Madam Waddell, do you accept the amendment as your second?
I do.
Okay. Council, is there any discussion on the motion? All right, look to you for action. Councilmember Wright. Madam Clerk, that's unanimous. What's going on? Oh. All right, Councilmember Art, one vote for you, sir. All right, so motion carries. Item 6.0, the consent agenda.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I would move that we approve the consent agenda as presented with the exception of pulling item 6.2 for a public hearing on the 25th of June.
So there's a motion by Councilmember Arp to approve the consent agenda with the exception of and the removal of item 6.02. Is there a second? There's a second by Councilmember Hare. Any discussion on the motion? All right, Council, I look to you for your votes. Madam Clerk, that's unanimous. Item 6.02, Mr. Arp.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If we could just have city staff come up and just give just kind of a quick synopsis. Jerry?
Yes, sir. Mr. Newton.
The item that you have just pulled to set to public hearing on the 25th is an item that has a series of issues to take a look at. It will be considering a business coming in, but it also involves an overlay zone that has protections, very specific protections that we need to make sure are all in place for the Cape Fear River. You'll be having de novo hearing. You'll be treating it as new, and therefore you'll be hearing all the information as new when that public hearing is set for you on the 25th.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir. All right, so that is to set the public hearing for the 25th, Madam Clerk. All right, Mr. Dawkins, you had?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. I was concerned that Mr. Van Gens was here, and I think he just left. I want to make sure Mr. Newton makes him aware of what our concerns are, Mr. Newton.
Yes, sir. We'll convey that information to him that we heard at the dinner meeting, and anything else that you may have, please bring it to my attention personally.
Well, the key is this is going to be jobs, so I want to make sure that we...
I've already had a conversation between about 6:58 and 7:02 with Robert Van Gens talking about the need for us to double back on all of this.
Okay, thank you.
Because I don't want it to be just about one issue. I need it to be holistic on all the items.
Correct. Thank you. Thank you, Jerry.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir. Councilmember Art.
Yes, sir. And Mr. Dawkins, thank you very much for addressing that. Just so the public understands, we're very much in support of economic development and how we can bring jobs to the city. But the council was very directive in establishing a river overlay to protect the river. after we had to several years ago vote to allow usage on the river that we really would have preferred not to have. So we want to strike that balance between economic development and protecting the biggest natural resource we have in our city.
All right, thank you. All right, Madam Council, we're at the public hearing. In the public hearing, individuals desiring to speak at the public hearing must have signed up to speak with the city clerk by name and address before 7 p.m. this evening. 15 minutes will be allowed for each side of the issue at the public hearing. Individual speakers will be limited to 3 minutes each unless by a previous arrangement a single spokesperson is designated, in which case the spokesperson may use the entire 15 minutes. When the city clerk calls your name, please come to the podium, clearly state your name and address for the record. You may then address the city council. When the light changes from green to amber, you have 30 seconds remaining. At the end of your allotted time, the timer will ring. And we will have, for the first item is 7.01, we have a staff member to present this item. Mr. Harmon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. This is a special use permit request, so we need to get anyone who has signed up to speak to the clerk's area to be sworn in.
May we just have one speaker for this item, Mr. Dell Crawford.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth so help you God? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This case is P1813F. It is the issuing a special use permit to allow multifamily residential in an SF or single family 6 zoning district. The property is located at 846 Ridge Road, and we'll see some photos of where that's kind of located here. Shaw Mill Road does run kind of behind the property behind this. You'll notice from the aerial there's a good mix of housing types throughout that area, and to include some businesses within the 500-foot area that we're looking at. Our land use plan calls for medium density residential, which the proposal would meet that criteria. Currently, it's low density residential in that area. This is actually a vacant property currently. And this is what the owner is proposing to do. The lot that you saw a moment ago is a square lot. There is a drainage feature that runs through the back of it. And so they're looking to divide this lot into 3 parcels and have 3 separate duplexes, 1 duplex on each parcel. Just a couple of photos of how the property looks. This, as you can see, it's fairly flat, other than, like I said, there is a drainage feature that runs through the property as well. A couple of photos from the aerial view here as well. This is property immediately adjacent to the right. This is this is an existing duplex. And then you can see that same duplex on the right side of the screen. And then this is a photo from across the street. There's one condition with this SUP, that would be compliance with that attached site plan and final review and approval by the TRC. Zoning Commission and the city planners recommend approval of the proposal. That's based on that we feel it is in keeping with the surrounding properties, that it meets the applicable standards of the city, that the compliance with the site plan and final review of TRC, that we mentioned this attached, and that this proposal does meet all the use-specific standards listed in the UDO, which are listed here in A through D, and that we believe it meets all 8 findings of fact, and again, that the land use plan does call for medium density residential, which this would fall into that category. Are there any questions before we open your public hearing?
Any questions for Mr. Harmon? Guess not, sir.
Thank you.
At this time, I open the public hearing. Madam Clerk, please call your first speaker.
So we just have one speaker for this item, Mr. Del Crawford.
Mr. Crawford, welcome.
Thank you. I'm Dale Crawford, Crawford Design Company, 116 North Cool Spring Street, and we do represent the client, which also here Mr. Mathis. And I appreciate allowing to speak. We're here again on behalf of Mr. Mathis, and we'll entertain any questions that you may have about the development. As Mr. Harmon spoke, it is in keeping with the neighborhood. I think it's certainly going to be an enhancement to that area. It is multifamily, and there's multifamily, of course, in the vicinity, in fact, right beside of the site. So, again, I'm here to answer any questions that you may have.
Mr. Crawford, I don't see any lights.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
This time we'll close the public hearing for this item. Council, I'll look to you for action.
Mayor Colvin, I make a motion. I move to approve the special use permit to allow multifamily residential in an SF6 zoning district as presented by staff, based on the standards of the city's development code and the evidence presented during the hearing.
Thank you, Councilmember Waddell. Is there a second? Second by Councilmember Jensen. Any discussion on the motion? As presented, including the conditions, correct?
With the condition listed.
Okay, thank you. Council, any further discussion on the motion? I'll look to you for action. Madam Clerk, that's unanimous. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 7.02, public hearing on proposed transit fare increases. Mr. Hume.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. Let me get my first presentation up here. Again, thank you. I'm Randy Hume. I'm your transit director for the city and the FAST system. The purpose of this is to receive comments about proposed fare increase that we've been discussing as part of the budget. Again, the increase has been included in the city manager's budget of 25 cents. Fares were last increased in April of 2013, and since that time we have had numerous service improvements, including the new transit center that we're now are in about our 6th month. We've added Sunday service, and then we've also, within the last year, reduced ride times and wait times on a number of our routes. Again, this is being across the board. If it was approved, would be an across the board fare increase, which would touch all fare categories that we have. And one thing that we are wanting to work toward is to become cashless with our ADA paratransit system. That means we would no longer have fare boxes on those vehicles, but people would have a way to pay in advance, and we would just go against their account. Just in a comparison of cities that we've provided you, and I won't spend a lot of time on this, our fares are right in the middle, maybe a little bit lower in some categories. Those categories that we're lower on are the senior and disabled fares and our ADA paratransit fares, and that's because of some history of not increasing those rates when we've increased some other ones. Our fare recovery rate is pretty close to others, but slightly lower. And then some other factors related to our funding per population and fare recovery rate related to other funding sources is, again, we're on the low side, but not drastically low. One of the things that you asked for, I think, when we talked about this or presented it the first time was to see how things have changed over time. Budget put together, I think the graph in terms of showing how funding have increased, we've overlaid with that with some of the major improvements that we've made. Starting in 2012 when we extended evening services on a lot of our routes, we extended the service on Ramsey Street up to the North Pavilion. Then we added service on Strickland Bridge Road and out into the western portions. We added earlier Saturday services. Route 31 was something that we added in a past budget year. And then again, and within this last year, the big increases have been the new transit center and the Sunday service. This is just an array of the major fare groups that we have. As you see, most of them would be proportionate increases, but this would be a 25-cent increase in our basic fare, which is the one-ride fare. You get on, you ride one time when you get off, then you have to either pay another one. But most of our riders do buy the day pass. About 33% of our riders buy a day pass, which allows them to round trip and ride unlimited number of rides for 24 hours. We have had a couple of public workshops. They weren't well attended. We had both a midday workshop and an evening workshop on the 22nd and 23rd of May. We've received one email in opposition to it, and again, we've been talking to our riders, and we can give you a summary of that after the public hearing. This has been presented and discussed in several meetings with our FACT committee, and they are supportive of a fare increase, again, to make sure we continue to improve and grow our system. And with that, I will answer any questions or open it.
I do have a couple, sir. I have one in Councilmember Hare and then Wright. You said before that we were right in the middle. According to your chart, the average adult fare across all systems was $1.31. Average North Carolina was $1.28, and so your proposal is $1.50, correct?
Yeah, I'm saying where we are right now, we are lower to middle.
But if the council approved your proposal, we would be above average for all systems.
We would be the same as I think we would be the same as Greensboro. We would be lower than Wilmington.
Well, we would actually be higher than Winston-Salem.
Yes, sir.
Asheville, Durham, Raleigh, and High Point.
That's correct.
Most everybody.
Well, we have two over. We're the same as Raleigh right now. There's two that are higher, and then those that are lower.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Hare.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Hume, as I was asking upstairs, and council knows we've all talked about this, how I feel about the increase, but I was hoping that you were going to give us a little feedback on the surveys. You said that staff was across the board as far as different routes throughout the city. And I would like to hear some feedback, if you have some actual feedback, and if you do, I would also like to get that, within an email also, if you can forward to me. Just what citizens were saying, what kind of questions you were asking, and on and on.
Most of the questions we asked in the survey were about the type, because of some of the analysis we need to do, was the type of fare that people pay, and again, looking at different demographics. But we did ask for a number of comments, and those, for the most part, people did not. They were not in favor. I'm going to say they were not in favor or anxious to pay more, but they weren't violently opposed to it. I guess we had at our meetings we only had 2 attendees. We had one email that we received that was in opposition. Most of, like I said, people that we talked to were not excited about paying more, but at the same time, most people did not provide a comment about the fare itself. I think we had some that asked for reduced fare. I think the newspaper article was pretty accurate in terms of what was in the paper this weekend. Some people asked for reduced fares. One comment we got multiple times was more free fare days for elderly and disabled. We did get a lot more comments about really our services than we did about the fares. Need for more stops closer together. More buses, less waiting time. We got comments about our detours that we're having to do because of the Louise Street Bridge, being closed, because that detour causes us to miss some stops. Some asked for more Sunday hours, service to Fort Bragg and Hope Mills, and then we got some comments about our driver's behavior, which we were asking for.
If you would, and thank you, Mayor, if you would also, could you give us some feedback? I had concerns about, wanting a shelter or at a bus stop, a shelter at each bus stop throughout. Kind of give us some little feedback where we are, what's getting ready to happen. I know that comes with a $5 million budget, but just what we have in the arsenal and what's getting ready to go up as far as those shelters. I think citizens would like to hear that. And where are we at least with benches, with a email, a text message that would sent to at least a few of us a few weeks ago about folks sitting on anything, carts, grocery store carts, bricks, on the curb, things along that line. Kind of give us a little feedback on that and where we are in improving that.
We we have about 20% of our bus stops have a shelter and or a bench, and that is sort of the norm. We actually have more shelters than benches as a mix. Most systems that I think we showed you this at some point in time. Most of the systems have about 1/3 of their improvements are shelters and 2/3 are benches only. We're the opposite. We have about 2/3 of our stops where we've made improvements have included shelters, and about 1/3 are benches only. We have, I think we've shared with you, we have 47, I think it is, stops that we're working on right now that either meet our criteria or ones that we've been working with public services on to locate a number of shelters and benches. I think we have four benches that are ready to go up. I'm not sure about with the rain, but we're supposed to be going up this week, and we have at least one shelter that we're installing over on North Street near New Blueberry Place.
And my last, and just thanks for your patience, Mayor. If we were, because there was a comment that you gave us, there's a little fall off in ridership. If we were to have a shelter, just your professional experience at every stop, just your comment, do you think that is a possibility? Is that a hopeful improvement to increase ridership?
Based on my experience, that is not a realistic expectation, that you would have a shelter at every stop. That's not what our industry has been. I would say that we are continuing to work on that. We're also working on making our stops ADA accessible. That's a big part. And again, once they're accessible, it makes it easier for us to add those improvements. But I think you will find that most systems have standards for setting where you put a bench or shelter based on the activity, and I think we shared some of that, although it's hard to get up-to-date information from everyone, but they have similar standards. So I think to be 100% is probably not realistic, but again, we're willing to work to put more and more out there. I think we have a lot of improvements to make. Now, in terms of increasing ridership, I think the thing that would increase ridership the most is more buses, more frequent service on more core routes. And that, of course, that takes money, both in buses and in
Thank you,
operating expenses.
Yes, sir. All right. Councilmember Wright.
Yes, I have a few questions. I want to go back to the all-day pass.
Yes, sir.
And that all-day pass was $3 that will be increased to $4.
Yes, sir.
Versus a one-way pass that was $1.25 that was increased 25 cents. Okay, what prompted you to increase the all-day pass to $1 versus the 50 cents for or 25 cents for a one-way pass? And once you answer that question, I know the increase given other cities, once we give the increase, it would be more than several cities that we kind of compare to. How much is this increase going to increase in revenue? I think it's $5 million.
No, sir. No, sir. I think it's included in the budget is 130. The 25% increase across the board is 133,000.
It's 133,000. Okay, so that question is, what are you going to use that 133,000 for? Because my concern is shelters and benches. and I'm just going to say this, and then I'm going to let you speak and move on, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate your patience. Many have seen the picture of the man sitting on the bus stop, sitting on a shopping cart in the rain. The image of that, to me, speaks volumes when you have citizens out of other counties or towns is traveling through and see that in our city. The city that says that, you know, we want to create the hometown feeling where we recreate, place to grow and raise our children and all those things. So my concern is shelters and benches a priority? And I understand the DOT, I understand all of that, but are we doing all we can? If we're going to raise the fees, then we need to look at what we're going to do with that money. So help me to understand, because you say you're working on 27 stops now, what type of work you're doing on these stops, and we'll go for it.
Those are getting permits. Primarily what it is right now is getting surveys and permits so we can add the features that we need to do to add a ADA accessible bus stop and a shelter or a bench. And again, wherever we put a bench, we also put a trash receptacle too. Again, I want to make sure one thing is clear. You said a one-way fare. It's not a one-way fare. It's a one ride fare. So if you're traveling from downtown to, let's say, to West Fayetteville, if you go to the mall and transfer, you're paying twice. So that's why the day pass is the good deal, particularly if you're transferring anytime or you're coming back round tripping. And I think the numbers showed that 80% of our riders do round trip, so that they are getting that deal. The other thing that I want to point out too is in April of 2013, the day pass is one fare we did not increase. So when we were at $1, the day pass was $3. When we went to $1.25, because we wanted to promote that day pass, we left it at $3. And so that is one reason we're going up to $4, primarily because of ease of making change. You know, quarters are easier than having dimes and nickels for our fare boxes. But that's the main reason it's going up that amount. If the base fare was going up a smaller amount, we would be recommending a smaller amount for that day pass.
Mr. Human Counsel, I know we've got a lot to discuss. There are two speakers that are signed up, one in favor and one in opposition. So we'll circle back at the end for questions. Would like to give the council members that have pressed their light an opportunity to ask their questions. Mr. Hume, if you can condense your answers a little bit so we can.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Hume, what's the primary source what's the revenue source for the FAST system?
It's split between federal grants, some state money, our fares, and we have some advertising revenue now, and then city general fund. So between those,
so from the city slice, we fund the shortfall from the federal grants with revenues generated by fares and funding from the general fund. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. But actually, the fares are what are spent. If you did first in, first out, the fares are the first thing that are spent to support our operation.
Okay. So you got a $4.6 million bogey, right? $4.6 million shortfall. And the proposal is to raise fares, and that's going to generate $133,000.
Yes, sir.
That's a 3% revenue generation. But in 2013, we raised fares, and our ridership went up or down?
Ridership went down, but revenues went up. But revenues went up. Yeah.
How much did it go down?
I don't have that number.
Yeah.
I can get that too for you.
So what's the number one priority for FAST?
I think the number one priority is to improve service. Shelter, to Councilman Wright's question, benches and shelters are a priority, but I think also getting more bus stops out there is a priority, as well as just improving our quality of service. And I think something you brought up in the budget hearing is also
number one priority is to increase bus ridership. Now, you do that through quality service, and you do that through bus stops, but the real answer is we need to increase ridership.
Yes, sir.
We got a tremendous bus system, and my concern is, and if you haven't ridden the bus, you need to go ride the bus. We have a great bus system. But the problem is we need more riders to help us pay for it. And my fear is it's self-defeating when we raise fares, and we know historically we lose ridership. We're going to raise fares to generate 3%, and we're going to lose ridership. which could cost us more than 3%. So I would submit that we probably need to go back and figure out how we can better raise ridership to generate that revenue, keep our fares stable, and then we can come back. And if you know, how much does raising ridership by 5% generate?
I've sent you that number. I don't have that handy right here.
I think I would want to have that number in my kit bag. Same thing with 10%. We ought to have goals for raising ridership. Every year, we should have a set goal for raising ridership. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman Barb. Councilmember Dawkins.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Hume. So what I'm trying to figure out is, from our general fund, do we subsidize it by $4.6 million? Is that in addition to what we receive from the federal government?
That's in addition to what we receive from the federal and state government.
Addition. Okay. Well, in my 37 years in private business, generally when you raise prices, you tend to sell less. I can't support any raise in rates on our most vulnerable. These are folks that one commissioner told me that if they could just buy a used Honda or Ford, they'd do it, but they can't. They don't have the money to do it. So I appreciate what you're doing. I do want to see ridership raise up. I mean, we've got a beautiful transit center. We got all the makings of a very successful system. I appreciate what you're doing. We're going to keep trying. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Dawkins. All right, we have 2 speakers, Madam Clerk. Let me open the public hearing and call your first speaker.
Yes, sir. Our first speaker is Mr. Michael Worrell.
Hello, sir.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. My name is Mike Worrell, and I am the chairperson for the FACT Committee. For those who are not aware of what the FACT Committee is, it's a volunteer committee of a cross-section of members across the committee. Volunteers, riders, operators, business owners, and what they do, what we do is we ask the same questions you're asking tonight. And the bottom line that we've come across was we're looking to improve the quality of our drivers and the equipment in itself. Everything you guys are saying are correct in terms of improving ridership, but you've got to understand, if the drivers aren't happy, the environment is not happy. These are one of the things we're trying to address, ensuring the drivers are pretty much on time, they're not overworked or overtasked. Those who have not rode the bus system, I encourage you to do so. Talk to the drivers. Understand the heartache that they go through every day. They are dealing with the general public, which you guys are more aware of as well. It's not always a positive experience for them, but those are the faces of our transit committee. So I understand when we talk about budgets, I understand what we're talking about ridership. That's one of the things that the FACT committee is trying to improve, to increase ridership. And we have a lot of opportunities to do so in the coming years with the baseball committee, trying to get the bus systems on Fort Bragg's, Hope Mills, Springs Lakes. There's lots of opportunities, but we need your guys' support on that as well. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir.
Any questions?
Thank you, sir. Did you give your address, Mr. Worrell?
I live on 6325 Touchstone Drive off of Ramsey Street. And once again, I am not a bus driver. I mean, I don't ride the bus. But as a chairperson, I have gotten really involved in this process.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
I just had a question for you.
Yes, sir. I do have another question for, I have 2 questions. Councilmember Chris. Yeah, we wanted to hear, Mr. Worrell, we'll call you right back up. Let me hear the other person for the public hearing. We'll close that, and then I'll come back to you. Councilmember Dawkins.
Thank you.
Mayor, our next speaker is Ms. Joanna Quick.
She's spoken before. I remember her face.
Ms. Quick.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. My name is Joanna Quick. I currently reside at 640 Volunteer Drive, Apartment J, Fayetteville, North Carolina, 28301. I do live in District 2. I would like to say, first of all, thank you to Mr. Randy Hume. He was nice to meet with me today about this issue, and each time I call, he is very responsive. Just to give you a little bit of background, I'm not really new to transit. Transit has been one of the issues that's close to my heart. I know in the past when the new Walmart was being built on 301, I was able to call Mr. Hume and said we need a bus stop out there because people are going to have to travel to work. And so I called Walmart because I work for them, and they were on board about helping to make that happen. So he met with my store manager, and we was able to have a bus stop Route 31. So thank you, Mr. Hume. So all that to say that, you know, I'm not really new to transit, but I am in opposition of a fare increase on the single pass and the all-day pass. My question will be to council and the city staff, have we really looked at all creative ways to increase funding before we look at increasing the fare? My solution would be to look to focus more on advertising and creating community partnerships. For me, collaboration is key. So we've seen excellent examples before where public and private partnerships work. So I will submit that we reach out to businesses that want to give back to their community, and they can either sponsor a bus stop or sponsor a route, and they can invest in advertising. I talked to Councilman Chris; he was very responsive. Thank you, Councilman, about the idea of doing maybe audio advertising. So I would say, please, let's look at creative ways first. We do a little bit of advertising, but we could get more potential dollars if we take the time to market the transit system, but also reach out for more partnerships. And I also agree that, you know, the people riding the bus, sometimes we're not going to be able to afford an increase. I do drive, but I have family members who ride the bus, and the bus is there if I need it. So I know sometimes there's been days when my siblings had to go to work, and we're trying to scramble up just $1.25 between us and the household to get a pass, or $3 to get a one-way pass. So the transit has come a long way. We still have a ways to go, but right now at the state we're in, we really can't afford an increase on the bus fare, not when there's other opportunities to bring in additional funding. And I've talked in the past with Mr. Hume about Greensboro Transit. They created a partnership with the college and university system with their General Transit Authority, and then they created a whole new system for colleges called the HEAT system. And so it worked because of partnerships with Chamber of Commerce and the city and local universities. So we can kind of do that same platform. If I told him today we should go to Greensboro, kind of see what they did and use that as a model on how we can bring improvements here to our transit system. So I would say look into advertising dollars and grants to help fund the project. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. At this time, we'll close the public hearing. That was your final speaker, right, Ms. Clerk?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. We do have a couple questions. Councilmember Crisp, and then Dawkins, and then Hare.
Mr. Mayor, I don't have question, but I need to comment on something. I just am having a difficult time understanding why we're trying to extract $133,000 from the least of us, from the people who absolutely need public transportation. Now, I'll tell you this, several years ago when I was in K&W, and I spoke to a young lady who was waiting on my table, and she said that every time they asked her to work on Sunday, she had to say no because she had no way to get there. And now she has a way to get there. But is $133,000 that critical to the budget of this city that we have to tap the least of those, inasmuch, you all know the rest of it, inasmuch. The other thing that bothers me, and I love Mr. Randall Hume, he knows that, I'm president of his fan club, but when he stands up here and tells me $4 because it's easier that way for the drivers not to make change, I don't accept that. I don't accept that. I think that we've got to examine some other avenues. I don't care if we take $133,000 out of the general fund balance, but I cannot support this increase on the least of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Chris. Councilmember Dawkins, and then Hare.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Sergeant Major, that was well said. I applaud you for quoting scripture, as you do many times. I have a question for Mr. Is it Worrell? Couple questions. Number one, thank you for volunteering. Thank you for leading the committee. Now tell me what the letters stand for. I know what they do, but will you tell the public what your committee, FACT?
It's the Fayetteville Advisory Committee on Transit.
Correct. Fayetteville Advisory Committee on Transit. So what are the 2 or 3 things, some suggestions you could give this council to improve our system?
One is changing the ideal of our transit system. As it just was spoke of, our transit system is addressed to the least of us. Whereas you go to a major city, it is used by everybody.
It's everybody.
But we focus on the least of us. One of the things that I discovered in my short tenure is we have an app that can be downloaded to your phone, just like an Uber, and it will show when your bus is coming around the corner. So you're not waiting in the rain. You can go out there and meet your bus. A lot of people are not aware of that.
Okay, so making them folks aware of that app.
And that's one of the things that me and Mr. Humes are discussing about a more public awareness program about our transit system.
All right, and one more question. What can we do to help our drivers? What you said earlier about drivers concern me great. Are they mad about making change? What's the...
Well, they're overworked.
Okay,
one of the few
they're going
things,
to get a raise if this budget passes, by the way. So I want them to know.
Yes, they will get a raise. One, I think we have 2 of our committee members are drivers. And when they said they felt kind of weird because they feel that they need a raise. They're overworked. They work 5, sometimes 6 days a week, long hours, and they deal with the public.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir. Councilmember Art. Oh, I'm sorry. Was it Hare and then Art? Hare
Yes,
and
sir.
then Art.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to, I don't know if this is the time that we do this, unless that's a part of, unless we're just giving direction, but I wanted to make a motion tonight. Do we make motions or do we just give directions?
Well, they will need some action. We're going to try to give questions an opportunity to make their way.
Because that was where I was headed.
Okay, so if you hold tight there, we'll come back to you. So we still have a couple people that have green lights, not red lights, meaning they've only had one round. So, and then I have a few that have red lights. So, Councilmember Art.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And Mr. Worley, thank you very much for your comments tonight. And that app, by the way, is a very useful app. It's what I use when I ride the bus. You can put your information in there. It'll tell you exactly when your bus is coming. And you can even track your bus on the route. You can see where the bus is on the route. So if people don't know that app's there, we need to really get that word out. It's a great app. Wow. I hope I'm not getting a phone call. Oh, the phone calls? Well, I mean, it'll work on any kind of phone now if you got internet. You got to have internet, right? But, I know where you're going for people that are low income. It might be tough, but if you're talking about a metro system like in a major city where I've used metro systems as well, generally speaking, those riders will take advantage of the app and be able to use that. And that's specifically what we want to look at for the baseball and trying to get public transportation involved with getting people down to the baseball games. Right. But I do have a question, if I can, with Mr. Hume. Mr. Hume, in the business world, and listen, I applaud the comments that my colleague, Mr. Chris, made about, my concern is we have a lot of people who ride the bus are on fixed incomes. They just don't have the ability for higher fares. If we're looking at figuring out how to raise revenue, somebody's going to lose because you either got to raise fares or you got to eliminate service or you got to do a combination of something like that. So a question I would ask is, did we do any analysis of the routes? I mean, I'm sure we have some routes that are really heavily used routes, and then we have some routes that maybe don't meet much usage. Did we do any analysis about saying maybe we eliminate Route A, take those resources, put it against Route B, which has heavy usage, to give it more buses and more stops? Did we do any kind of analysis on that?
We do that, and we can provide that. We've just recently done that. We did not do that for this budget, but again, the routes that the routes that are the least productive routes are the newer routes that we've started. And some of the ones that we've extended into far-reaching places. So we could provide that. We have that. But again, a lot of those least producing routes are the ones that are newer routes into less densely populated areas.
So that goes back to the marketing comment that the young lady made. Maybe we're not marketing those routes well enough. Maybe people don't know they're available. I think we need to look at that. Interesting. I don't recall you talking about driver satisfaction when we had our bus discussions. Is that something, did I miss that, or is that something?
Let me explain what that relates to. We have been severely understaffed this year. We have been as much as, we have a complement of 77 full-time operators, and we have at times been down as many as 12 We've had 12 vacancies. So that means we have to put those that are working with us, we have to work them that much harder. And that's the stress that we have put onto our operators. We have done some things this year to improve what we do to encourage people to stay. But at the same time, it is a slow process to get that back. But we have been short almost the whole year.
So my question, Mr. Hume, is that is part of that burden been placed on you and staff because of the increased number of bus routes? Is it, we just can't hire available or qualified drivers? I mean, what's the issue?
It's been available qualified drivers. That is, and it's not just in Fayetteville. It's been all over at least all over the state and really all over the country that there's been a shortage of bus operators. We've actually expanded some also in terms of minimizing or reducing our requirements for getting hired, and then we will help you get some of the endorsements that you need to drive. So we do require a CDL with a passenger endorsement and a air brakes endorsement, and so we actually will let you get those endorsements without. We will hire you without those, which before we weren't doing that. The other thing is we did make a change to our pay plan this last fall, again to try to encourage. To help recruit operators to come on board. But we've had a shortage within our industry of bus operators, and it has really hit us hard.
Mr. Mayor and Council, I just would suggest if this is a problem of supply and demand, and that's what it sounds like when it comes to drivers, we may have created a burden that, we're just going to have a hard time filling, and that's also driving our revenue loss on this. We might have to go back and look at some routes and maybe some route reductions on non-productive areas so that we can have qualified and safe bus drivers on those other areas.
I will say we are doing better in terms of filling those, but we have for most of the late fall up until about now, we have been extremely short. So our operators have worked a lot of extra hours.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hume. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Waddell, I'm sorry.
I think that maybe what we should consider as legislators, we might need to get on the bus, and we might need to park our cars for a week and ride the bus so that we can get a clear understanding of what is going on in terms of service, in terms of route, in terms of expectations, because I think we're emoting a particular mindset when it may not be based in fact. And I think if we get on those buses, we can see for ourselves what's really going on. And I think that we should also probably be encouraging other people to get on the bus. I think there has been, Ms. Quick, I love what you said about the marketing, and I think we're hearing it. And I think we really need to be pursuing some active and aggressive marketing campaigns. If a new TV show comes out, you see 55 million commercials telling you it's coming, getting you excited about watching it. Why are we not doing that with our buses? I think if we go to scaling down routes, we're going to create an issue where the 3 people who may use that route to get to work, now we put them in a position where it's no longer a viable method of transportation for them. I used to catch the bus. I could not work late in the evenings because the bus wouldn't pick me up late in the evenings. And so there's so many issues with our bus system. I think we need to get on the bus, hammer out some of these issues, encourage other people to get on these buses so that we can get these routes vibrant so that they can actually be productive. I don't know if a rate increase is going to do that. I don't know if a rate increase is going to discourage people from getting on the bus, because people that have to get somewhere, we find a way to get there. even if it's inconvenient. But I do agree that and it needs to start with us so that we can encourage other people to do it. We need to get on the bus. Everybody out there in those seats, catch the bus every now and then. If you're coming downtown, get on the bus. The app it's fabulous. When I found out about the app, I don't know if it was you, Tom. When I found out about the app, I was blown away. We don't even know about it. It's much like Uber. It'll tell you exactly what's going on. We can't keep putting something on the table and then taking it off the table and then trying this and trying that. We need to get very, very, very focused on marketing the message, get on the bus. And that's my 2 cents.
Thank you, Councilmember Waddell. Councilmember Wright.
Yeah, I just have a question about drivers, the quality of drivers, the unhappiness of the drivers, the fatigue of our drivers. I think I know why, because some of the drivers have talked to me about their unhappiness with the pay scale. And then answer me this, your new drivers that you hire, do you hire them at the same pay scale as your older drivers? That's one question. Can you answer that?
They're in the same pay grade. They don't get paid, come in at the same rate. And so
explain that to me.
Okay, we hire right now. We are hiring new drivers that are entering training. We are starting them at $13 an hour.
Okay.
That is an increase over the minimum of that range. The minimum was like $12.56 or something like that. So we hiring at $13. When they complete training, they go to $13.25, and then in 6 months they go to $13.75, and then after that, then they get into this regular cycle with other operators, but other operators have more seniority, of course, have had annual increases, and so they don't catch up. When we did this, about 50% of our operators had been with us less than 2 years.
Okay, so do you have a decrease in old drivers that are leaving the job because they're disgruntled or they're not happy with the work, or do you maintain your experienced drivers longer?
Overall, we maintain our experienced drivers. They stay with us. Our turnover is in the first 2-3 years of employment.
The first 2 or 3 years. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Wright. Councilmember Jensen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Chairman, I have a question for you. I spent a day on the bus one day, and it was a very enjoyable experience. I wasn't looking for jumper cables for the bus to break down or somebody sitting there eating Mexican food like a burrito or something. I mean, it was very clean. Everybody was nice. So if it fit in my lifestyle, I would probably use the bus a lot more. But as you were sitting here talking, and I guess my question is, are you in favor of the increase or not in favor of the increase?
I am in favor of the increase.
Okay.
And I'm speaking on behalf of the FACT committee, and they feel that the increase will, one, improve the driver's pay, which they feel is an issue, and two, it goes towards operations. As you said, the buses are clean, but the buses still have some opportunities as well. Mm-hmm. We talked about shelters. We talked a lot of the revenue that's needed that we're talking about needs to come from somewhere. And at this point in time, we were looking at tackling the rate increase. And we do understand, and everyone on the committee does understand, it is a burden on the public that's utilizing that. But at the same time, it is a public transportation. Everybody has to put a little skin in the game to make it work.
I appreciate that. And when I was talking at the beginning, I just want to let people, and I agree with my counterpart, Councilmember Waddell, is, we need to get on the bus. Everybody needs to see that it is clean. It is a nice place to be, and it's safe. My experience was very good. So I hope that people do get on the bus and that we can market it. And as you did get up and talk, I just wanted to make sure that we had that for the record, that the FACT committee is for the increase.
And one of the pieces of information that we found that was kind of enlightening, and it's not the fact that they don't want to get on the bus. People just don't know how to get on the bus. They don't know how the system works.
Okay. Mm-hmm. We fully understand. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. And so go to Councilmember Hare, but I think as this discussion was taking place, a lot of areas I see, Charlotte in particular, I know it's a lot of different demographics, but they encompass a multitude of things in their transit system, not just buses, but direct routes, faster routes. The rail system is even in there, and they're able to spread a lot more of that expense across the system. I think part of what I hear is that we made a lot of improvements in the service, but we've got a lot more to go. So I would personally like to hear a plan coming from transit as to how you plan to increase ridership, bringing in other vehicles of revenue sources, because this $133,000 didn't seem like it was going to address that problem. It would help you do a few things, but I didn't hear how you would put more riders on the bus or make the system more viable or enjoyable. So, but council, it's time for some action. I think that have Councilmember Wright and going to Councilmember Hare, and we'll need to make a move. We have a couple more public hearing items.
I'm ready for the motion.
All right. Okay. All right. Council will clear the board. So, Councilmember Hare.
Yes, sir, Mayor, and thanks everyone for their input tonight, and of course, council members. I think we're all thinking the same thing. But at this time, I don't think that I make a motion, Mayor, that we keep our transit fares across the board stable, presently maintained, with no increases for our 2018-19 annual budget season.
Second. There's a motion by Councilmember Hare. Had a couple seconds, I guess. Councilmember.
Everybody second.
All right. Councilmember Dawkins, I'll come back on the second. Any discussion on the motion? All right, and this motion is to keep the fare the same, correct? All right. Council, look to you for action. Okay. Madam Clerk, that is unanimous. 9-0. Mr. Hume, thank you. Thank you, sir. Mr. Worrell, thank you. All right. Item 7.03, fast route number 11, service modification. Mr. Hume, long time no see.
Yes, sir. You're not finished with me yet. Again, this is a proposed service modification to Route 11. Route 11 is a route that we introduced when we entered into our agreement with Fayetteville State, the student agreement, and it is a route that goes from Cross Creek Mall over to Fayetteville State via Pamela. Then it comes back up Murchison, goes Country Club over to Ramsey, and up Ramsey to the North Pavilion Hospital. So that is the FSU notified us about April 1st that they were no longer going to, they weren't going to renew that agreement starting July 1st. Those revenues go to support that Route 11. It does provide, that route provides service to others than just FSU students, and in fact, a lot of the ridership, when I was out riding it this past week, a lot of the ridership occurs between Murchison Road and Cross Creek Mall along Pamela there. So that is the area that it serves. Again, the reason that we presented this was to offset that revenue loss that there had been revenue included in the budget, I think, to support this, and so this is to offset that. It actually, with this modification, because we would just run the bus across Country Club Pamela and eliminate going down to Murchison Road, because we already have Route 12 on Murchison Road. On Murchison Road. It would actually improve the frequency of this route from 2 hours in the morning. It is 2 hours between buses. This would reduce it to an hour and a half. And again, we do have service duplication on Murchison Road with Route 12. This is the current route. Again, this shows the schedule, 6:30 to actually 10:53 on Fridays and Saturdays, but it goes to 8:53. And again, we have one bus in the morning, and we added a bus in the afternoon. The subsidy, or the part that came back to the general fund, was about $169,000. The proposal would reduce that subsidy to about $106,000, so it would save us $62,000. And again, the circle here shows what would be eliminated, and that's the part that goes down Murchison Road. The part that does not have duplicate service right now is where we made our turnaround to go up past the E. Smith High School on Seabrook, and we have about 3 stops there, and those stops would be eliminated, and we do have ridership on those. It has grown from probably about 2 or 3 ridership a day to about 5 or 6 riders a day on that portion. Again, discussed this with the FACT committee. They supported that. We've had our same meetings public meetings. Nobody attended that. We did get comments on Route 11. One was to not change. One was to eliminate it entirely and move the bus over to Ramsey Street on Route 5. Somebody said we need to talk again to Fayetteville State. And then, and also, a number of the people didn't realize that Fayetteville State was the one that supported that route and that they were backing out of their support. So we do have good ridership, particularly on that section that we didn't have service along that route before. So, again, with that, I'll turn it back.
Thank you, sir. All right, with that, we'll open the public hearing. Madam Clerk.
Now we have two speakers for this item. The first speaker is Mr. Michael Worrell.
Mr. Worrell, long time no see, sir.
As the FACT committee looked at the routes and the analysis associated with it, it became obvious that it was a win-win for both everyone involved. For the Fayetteville State students, they did not lose anything by losing a dedicated run to their designations, but it also increased the amount of frequencies, which was a concern that they had in the past. So it increased the frequencies about routes traveling that route. At the end of the day, it was a savings to the overall bottom line. So the FACT committee says this basically was a win-win for everyone. No one really lost in the reevaluation of the route changes, and we support this change.
Thank you, sir.
Our next speaker is Miss Joanna Quick.
There she is.
Hey, Council.
Hello again.
Hello again. Joanna Quick, 640 Volunteer Drive, Apartment J, Fayetteville, North Carolina. Thanks for the opportunity again, but I am against any route
Joanna,
reduction.
speaking to the mic.
I'm sorry. Thank you. Joanna Quick. I'm against any route reduction on the Route 11. For previous reasons that I stated, that I think we should look into other community partnerships. But first of all, I want to say maybe if a representative from council can reach out to Chancellor Anderson and look at renewing that partnership. I know some people campaign on collaboration, and we do have some partnerships with Fayetteville State, so maybe we can renew the transit partnership. I'm not comfortable at the first no. So I think we should fight for what we want. But with that being said, if they do not want to, I would say look at other businesses or nonprofits that would help, fund this additional money that's being lost on the route. And he did say there is some ridership, so I'm not comfortable with anybody losing a route, whether it's 11, 5, or whichever route. And if you can remember, on the previous council, this had came up before about reducing Route 11, if some people remember that, and that affects the Fayetteville State students. So I would just say, just open up our minds, think outside the box, try to find ways to get this additional revenue, and then also would say to stay out there, we need to look at the transit system as a whole, because when the transit was redone a few years back, when this issue first came up, they took away a lot of routes, and they took away a lot of the routes that outside the city. Now it's only within city limits. I think we need to expand that back. And my vision, as I told him, is to eventually I want to see regional transit. So I'm not comfortable with seeing reducing routes. I want to see us expand. I want to see us work with other municipalities and get that partnership. And hopefully we can broaden that. And I want to see regional transit here in this great city and county. Thank you.
Thank you.
May we have no further speakers?
With that, we'll close the public hearing. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor Colvin. We talked extensively about this during our work session earlier this month. Today, we're having the mandatory public hearing. I'm inclined to support our Fayetteville area Committee on Transit. So if I could, I'd make a motion, if the time is appropriate, since we received the comment, that we approve the proposed change to Route 11 as presented by staff.
Okay, there's a motion by Mayor Pro Tem. Is there a second? Second by Councilmember Chris. Discussion on the motion? All right, Council, I look to you for action. Councilmember Hare.
Is it too late for discussion? No. I was just puzzling something in my head here, and go ahead, Mayor. No problem.
All right. Madam Clerk, that is unanimous. Pardon me. All voting in favor with the exception of Councilmember Wright. So it's 8-1. Motion carries. All right. Item 7.04, public hearing 2018-2019 annual budget. Mr. Hewitt.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just a second while we fire this up.
No, the reason he's presenting, of course, I understand that. I thought we said we had one more. I thought we had the parking lot stuff, the budget issues we just got finished talking about.
Mr. Hewitt, it's your show, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor and Council, the recommended budget was released to the City Council on May the 4th in a series of small group meetings, and it was presented formally at a City Council meeting on May 14th. Since that time, the document has been available for public review in the office of the City Clerk as well as on the City's website. This proposed budget is driven by Council's organizational priorities that are articulated in your strategic plan. As you know, your strategic plan has 6 goal areas, and they're on the screen, ranging from safe and secure community, goal 2 being diverse and viable economy, 3 being high-built quality environment, 4 desirable place to live, work, and recreate, 5 sustainable organizational capacity, and 6 resident engagement and partnerships. As shown in the budget document, as well as presented to Council on May 4th, we have tried in the manager's budget message to show how in each one of those goal areas the budget in some way addresses Council's goal areas 1 through 6. Additionally, Council met in February to establish targets for action, and targets for action are those items that the Council would like additional focus on by the City staff over the next 12 months. Those items are develop a unified street lighting plan, develop an internship program, review options for outsourcing waste management, develop options for young adult engagement program, as well as develop MSD options for consideration for concentrated retail areas throughout the city. When we look at the proposed budget, recommended budget for next year, it across all funds is $235 million, up from $227 million for the adopted budget for the current fiscal year. And as shown on the screen, the other funds are listed below. The one that generally gets the most attention from Council and the public, in large part, has been the general fund, in that it is supported largely by the ad valorem property tax rate, which is one of the issues that we'll cover in just a moment. But on the screen again, you'll see the adopted budget for FY 2018 and the proposed budget for those funds in 2019. All told, this spending plan represents a 1.2% increase in the general fund over the adopted general fund for FY 2018. To support this, the general tax rate is proposed to remain at 49.95 cents per $100 of property valuation. Taxable property growth, as we shared with you, has slowed. The average annual percentage increase in the tax base from January of 2009 to 2017 is 1.73%, and the estimated growth, however, from 2018 to 2019 is only at 0.2%. The general fund intergovernmental revenues, which account for sales tax distribution and utility tax distributions, as we shared with you as well, Those are declining or were significantly or were below our budget projections for the current year. And each of the major revenue sources we're projecting to receive less than anticipated to support the current fiscal year's budget. And that is one of the reasons that when we looked at the fee structure, which we will talk about in just a moment as well, we were looking for options to take pressure off of the general fund. Speaking of fees, the residential solid waste fee for FY18, the current fee is $108 per single-family residential unit and requires a $4.6 million of operating support from the general fund, consistent with the direction that we moved in the current year to try to stand up the solid waste fund to be self-sufficient. The proposed fee is an $82 increase, taking that to $190 per single-family residential unit. The projected general fund support then for solid waste services is only about $761,000, and that is solely to fund the debt service for prior loans. In the area of stormwater fees, the recommended increase in the proposed budget was 25 cents per month equivalent residential unit, or ERU, to $4.50 per month. An annual equivalent is $3 increase to $54 per year. That would be at the 25-cent increase. But as council will recall, at your last budget work session or two back when we covered stormwater, actually, there was a discussion about council of increasing that fee to $1.75 additional per ERU, which would take the fee annually to $72 per year versus the $54 which is listed on the screen. Under the proposed budget, the staff also recommends that the tax rate for the Central Business Tax District remain at 10 cents and the Lake Valley Drive MSD remain at 39.4 cents. Transit fare increase. The council gave direction about the transit fare increase, and we will accordingly make these modifications for you and come up with ideas of how to bridge the $133,000 that the fares would have created, but it is also offset by money that with the council's last action of modifying Route 11, so that I think the net that we are looking for to put the budget back in balance is $71,000 generally about net, and I'm seeing heads shaking along the wall, so I think we'll be able to provide that as a roll-up to council if that's your interest, hopefully by Monday of next week. Ideally by Friday, but hopefully by Monday at the latest. As we also shared with you during your small group meetings and at some of the budget work sessions, there are also a variety of increases proposed for fees for use of facilities, youth athletics, summer camp, and some after-school programs as well. And again, that is detailed in the budget document, which is available online. So that brings us to tonight. The notice of the required public hearing on the budget was published in the Fayetteville Observer on May 17th. Tonight we are here asking to receive comments on the proposed budget through tonight's public hearing. And if all goes well and we're able to satisfy council of the changes that you have requested be made in the budget, we're still hopeful that the council would be able to adopt the budget, the CIP, the TIP, and the strategic plan and fee schedule on Monday, June 11th. And so with that, Mayor, it would be appropriate at this time to open up the public hearing and receive comment from the public on the proposed budget.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. This time, Madam Clerk, we'll open the public hearing.
Yes, sir. We have 3 speakers for this item. The first speaker is Mr. Steve Harper. Mr. Steve Harper. Not here. Okay, our next speaker is Mr. Jerry Reinl.
Mr. Rhino, how are you, sir?
Well, Mr. Mayor, I'm just doing peachy keeney as always.
Peachy. Peachy keeney.
Mr. Mayor and distinguished members of the Fayetteville City Council, good evening. My name is Jerry Reinhold, 516 Deer Path Drive, Fayetteville, North Carolina. For next year, every city function was so successful and essential in the past that none can be reduced or eliminated. The documentation shows that the greatest expenditure is the short and long-term cost of personnel. Looking back, I compared the FY 2014-2015 budget staffing full-time equivalents or FTEs with current proposal. The proposed budget shows growth of 39.5 FTEs in critical core mission areas from the earlier budget. The necessary growth of the airport, 2 FTEs, fire, no growth, police, 10.8 FTEs, and transit, 20.5 FTEs account for 33.3 FTEs. I recommend that a combined 6.2 FTE be cut from the other agencies in positions that appear to be administrative in nature as a cost savings process. It's interesting that 6.2 would pay that $133,000 that you're going to lose in the increased ridership. There may be a big opioid epidemic program gap in the budget. This is personal to me, as almost 40 years ago my family experienced the murder of my brother from a heroin overdose. Today's opioid epidemic that is killing and injuring our citizens and destroying families is only mentioned once in the 360-page document. The Fayetteville Observer has published about 189 stories this year with keyword opioid. A January 2nd, 2018 story is being distributed, which was the first story of this year. Congratulations to the Chief Information Officer as the only member of the staff to document this critical concern in the budget. I believe some other functional areas, such as the fire and police, may consider revisiting their submissions to verify they have not overlooked the most serious problem currently impacting our community, opioid abuse. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reynolds.
Our next speaker is Mr. Larry Barner. Mr. Larry Barner.
Hello, sir.
You want my name?
Yes, sir.
Larry Barner, 337 Rouge Street, Fayetteville, North Carolina. I really have no problem with the tax rate, but what I do have a problem is the fees raised versus the tax rate. Now, this is discriminatory, and I'm going to prove it to you. I took $200 fee, and I divided it by a low property home. I divide 50,000 into 200 and 160,000 into 200. Now these numbers any numbers will work this way. The 50,000 property came to 0.004. The 160,000 property came to 0.00125. So for every 4 cents the people that have low income property are paying, the high-income people are paying a penny and a quarter. So we see 4 cents is a lot more than a penny and a quarter. This sort of reminded me of something I read this budget about the ziggurat. You remember that, where the tower, the people were going, they go to the afterlife, and the man up there said, no, 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 and he scrambled the languages. So maybe we got to do some scrambling in our city budget, the city office there. That would be my suggestion there. I'm not asking that our city not raise their taxes. I'm asking that they raise them in an honest way and not try to camouflage them in this fees scam that they're trying to pull on us. Now, the question is, how can we save taxpayers' money in the taxpayer office? Now, this is a taxpayer's money. We needn't waste it. We need to be very fair with our taxpayers' money. Now, this thing started when we got a new city manager, the idea of fees versus tax rate. Remember in the old prop deal, the old ramp deal, it got so bad that in order to get justice, they had to change the law up in Raleigh. So what I'm saying now is let's do away with the fees and let's get back and be honest to the taxpayer. Just remember that this is the taxpayer's money. Remember what Solomon said. He said, don't be astonished by city government. They're going to mess up, and they're always going to mess up. I'm not going to waste any more time. You know, we're getting scammed, and thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.
We have no more speakers.
No, Solomon.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Clerk. We'll close the public hearing. All right. Mr. Harry, do I see your light, or is that from previous time, sir?
No, sir, Mayor. I'm not going to speak.
Okay. Councilmember Chris.
Yeah, I wanted to ask the question. I've asked it before, but I want to hear it.
Ask you. I don't know what's going to ask them.
The $82 fee increase to generate how much money, sir? About $4.6 million. If we raise the tax rate 1 cent,
About
how much money would that generate?
About 1.4 or 1.5? Yeah. So we're looking at, this would be several cents on the tax rate. And just to kind of take us back a moment to answer your question, which I think is also, give information which I think is embedded in your question. Last year when we were here, we, at the council's urging, didn't go revenue neutral. And because of that, how we were able to balance the budget with declining property values was by moving the solid waste fee toward self-sufficiency. This year, with trying to maintain a favorable tax rate, with everything else that we have going on as a community, whether it's the Parks and Rec projects, whether it's the baseball stadium, Hurricane Matthew, whether or not it's any number of other projects which I'm forgetting at the moment. There was a serious conversation among staff, and we also shared this in the small group meetings. The speaker is correct. Fees do hit low-income property, not low-income, low-value property owners harder than they do. It's proportion than folks who have higher values, because a person who lives in $1 million house is going to pay $190 under the proposed budget, the same as a person who lives in a $100,000 house. But embedded in that is also some policy decisions. The first being that people who enjoyed the service should be asked to pay for that service. As it stands right now, the mall, who is your highest taxpayer, property value, they do not receive any service as it relates from solid waste from you at all. And because of that, they have been subsidizing the solid waste service for those people who do. People who live in apartment complexes. Some of your speakers actually listed that live in apartment complexes. Depending on the size of those apartment complexes, they don't receive city services from us as it relates to solid waste. However, if it's on the tax rate, the landlord would then turn around and, speaking to Mike, the landlord would then turn around and would have to charge higher rents as in order to pay for that as well. It is an issue. It is something that the staff discussed. It is something that we shared with the council. But without any growth in the ad valorem tax rate or in our base, which is what we're really trying to do through our economic development efforts and others, we have to try to make some small adjustments on the margin. And this, again, takes it to full self-sufficiency. But the speaker was correct on his point.
So, my question is, your explanation is saying to us that the people who are receiving the excellent service ought to be the ones that's paying. If we raise the tax rate, others who do not receive the services from our solid waste department will be subsidizing solid waste and other things. Is that correct? But in this instance, the fee on the solid waste fee would be paid by those who are receiving the service.
That's correct.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir. Councilmember Hare?
Yes, sir, Mayor. I was struggling with the last item. in trying to understand where we were headed. So I'm going to go back to it since we're still talking about the budget. And I do agree with the young man that just came and spoke. Really, fees are nothing else but taxes, tax increases. Now, we just approved not to do the increase for transit. I agree with that. Then we came to Route 11, and we implemented to move forward with Route 11. And this is where I'm kind of shortchanging understanding. Apparently, all the other council members understand because no one said anything. Some of that money from the increase was going to help support Route 11.
No.
So, okay. So my question is this. If we didn't get the increase wherever that money was going to go to, we didn't get that, that did not take place, and you still are short 71,000, and you made a statement that staff is going to be making that presentation to us. And then I was just kind of having a conversation here with some of my council members, and I understand about some reasons why we use the fund balance. And I was always to understand that if we did things along that line, it would be a one-time use. So if we're going to do a one-time use, if that's where it's coming from, for the 71,000, where are we going after that?
Well, it would never, ever be staff's recommendation that you fund the $71,000 from fund balance. That would create a structural deficit. Okay. That is a recurring expense. Okay. It's a recurring expense. Right. But, and so when we talk about where we will find the 71,000, staff will have to huddle on that, but it will be from recurring expenses. And as some of the speakers mentioned, we don't have many more corners where we can find a lot of budget dust. But I anticipate that we will be having some reductions in areas such as advertising. I also envision that we may be looking at delaying filling of some positions potentially. But we will, $71,000 out of the $235 million all funds budget. All of it takes work, but we are, based upon being a recurring expense, I know we can find that money. And but it will require a choice, and we'll, of course, share with council where that recurring money that we're proposing to balance the budget will come from.
Okay, now I understand better. Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, sir. Councilmember Dawkins and then Jensen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, City Manager Hewitt. Getting back to the solid waste fee and why we didn't put it in the property tax rate is everybody gets the same amount of trash picked up every week. Everybody gets the same amount of recycle. So what we're trying to do is treat everybody as equally as we can, and I'm in favor of that. The goal is for the services such as solid waste to eventually pay for itself and not be subsidized from the general fund. So my question is, Mr. City Manager, I want to see the increase decreased. I've got plenty of folks that are telling me an $82 increase is just not something that they approve of. And I know we're not supposed to take it from the general fund, but I'm telling you, we're the city council. We make the decisions. We direct the staff. Just because it's not supposed to be done a certain way, we are the city council. We are elected by the people to make decisions. And since we are studying and will study as part of the targets for action that you mentioned earlier, privatizing solid waste at some point in the next year or so, I want to recommend that we reduce that fee increase, at least cut it in half, and then do this pulling for the general fund. It will get it down around 11%. And I know that that's going to concern some of you, but I can tell you we're financially strong. We've got a lot of good things happening, and I just don't want to put another high expense on our taxpayers. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, Councilmember Jensen.
Yes, Mr. Manager. We were having a discussion about sanitation at our work session, and last year, I'm just going to kind of go back. So when we had the county reevaluations of all our property, what we seemed to find out last year is a lot of the house values went down and all the businesses' values went up about 20%. And that's when we came to the conclusion that the businesses are not using the sanitation fees from the city. They have to they have to do their own sanitation, and they do it through a private company. So if we raise taxes at that point, the people that were going to be paying for it, their property tax were going to be 20% more plus what we put on there. So that's how this fee came about. And I think last year, as we were talking, it was $13 million for us to do our sanitation, and we were subsidizing it by $7 million, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken. So we kind of got that into control. And when I came on to council 5 years ago, I know that our phones were ringing every day, maybe twice a day, for trash, that the trash wasn't being picked up, our city wasn't looking. So we upped our service, and I think that our citizens demanded that we upped our service up. Now, and I'm saying this for the record, I know that we pick up everything, and we don't charge to pick up everything. Is that correct when I say that?
That is correct in part, and we work with the citizens even when there is a charge. For instance, if you put something out that's the size of a minivan, like vegetative debris, which cubic yards, then we routinely tell people, don't put all of that out. Put out half of it this week, and then put the other half out next week so that we can save them a charge. If we put it all out, then it requires a special truck for us to go out, and there's a charge for that. But and then we also have pickers. And pickers are, if you put something out on Sunday night, such as an aluminum or an old grill, when you get up Monday morning, chances are someone has come through and taken it, which helps us. But your premise is correct.
And is it, and you know, even the service that we give, if you live in Raleigh and you can't carry your trash can out to the curb, they don't care. But here in Fayetteville, if you are ill and you cannot carry your trash can out, we will come and carry your trash can out to the curb free of charge. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So is that correct?
We still do that, yeah. I think it's backdoor service for if you're medically, yeah.
So I guess where I'm saying is our level of service is over and beyond for our citizens, and I think that people appreciate that service. So we can make the fee go down and we can have our service like everyone else's, but I don't think that Fayetteville is prepared for that because we want our trash picked up. Now, I'm going to ask this last question, and I'm not being funny, but is it my understanding that we picked up a horse?
No, there was a request from...
Did I hear that?
There was a request from a citizen who came back from vacation, and a horse had died on his property. And Jackie Tuckey, who is a gem of city manager's office in many ways, said, well, how do we handle this? I said, well, if they can get it to the road. So the gentleman, who I won't name, but we all know, took his backhoe, and by the time he picked it up to move it to the road, he said, I'll just dig a hole and bury it in the pasture, which is what he did. But we were fully prepared to go get that horse.
But we were prepared to take care of the situation. Wow. So for a level of service, we have to realize, are we willing to pay to have this level of service? That's all I have to say.
Thank you. All right. I had coming to you, Pro Tem. Go ahead, sir, and I'll ask my question last.
Mr. Hewitt, thank you. Could you briefly, for the listening audience, describe everything that our solid waste department does, you know, from the dead animals on the roads, bulky item, loose leaf, you know, garbage, recycling?
Yes, sir.
You know, kind of tell them what all gets paid for.
Yes, sir. Well, the basic starts with your household garbage, which is in your green cart. In some cities, not all, but in some cities, if you can't get it in your green cart, you have extra bags, or you need an additional cart, you have to pay for that here. Here, if it's containerized, whether it's in a green cart or other carts, we pick all of that up. So there are some households which you go there, they'll have multiple household garbage cans out. We also do recycling to all of those single-family homes as well on a weekly basis. We go by and we pick up yard waste and yard debris. Usually it's containerized, but depending on the size and load of it, and you don't have to call that in. We also, as you mentioned, do loose leaf collection, multiple sweeps throughout the neighborhoods on a week and a half basis, starting when the leaves fall all the way, I think, until the end of January. We have the dead animal collection. We do brown goods. We do white goods, which are your appliances. If you have furniture, this is one of the few places, not few places, that's not an accurate statement. If you have a contractor come to your house and they're installing a new water heater, most places would say you paid a contractor $10 to haul the old water heater away. Or you have, you look at some of the ads for furniture companies, they'll do free haul away. Here, you drag it to the curb without calling us in, and it's our responsibility from the time that it goes out. We've made significant improvements to the to the vehicles that we have to try to be more efficient. The one-armed bandits, I think several members of council were on when we started switching from some of the rear loaders to the one-armed bandits or automated trucks. But there are other improvements which we've made, but clearly the gist of it is if you get it to the road, it becomes our responsibility. And that has been a steady change, but it's been consistent with council from when I first started in 2004, which was, many of you remember Mrs. Gonzalez. Her remark was, just pick it up. And literally we're to that point now where we just pick it up. And there are opportunities for us to be more efficient, but the cleanliness and condition of the neighborhoods is primary for council and the citizens, and that's what's reflected in this service.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hewitt. So from my house, every week, if I cut my grass, they pick up that. They pick up my trash, pick up my recycling. If my hot water heater goes out, they'll pick that up. And so a total of $190 over a year, which is less than Spring Lake and less than Hope Mills, what they charge. Like that, our 190 is about $3.65 a week, and I get all that service every week and don't have to pay anything additional. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and Councilmember Wright, and then council will have to move forward.
Yes, City Manager Doug, I just wanted to say that I'm impressed with the pickup of garbage and large items that we've been discussing here for the last 25 minutes, and that the progress that we've made in the city that I've seen across the board, that your staff have done an outstanding job. And I echo the comments of Council Member Jensen. The quality of service that we're receiving in Fayetteville when it comes to garbage and pickup is bar none, and I'm very proud of that. We've had some challenges, and I've seen you guys go at that straight on and make changes and do the things that need to be done to have the kind of quality of service that our citizens have been asking for years. And I'm saying that to say, and Councilmember Mon kind of took my question when he says $190 a year and $3.65 a week for the type of service that we're receiving here in Fayetteville is phenomenal. And I tell you, I have had no problems. Everything I put out on the street, you guys pick up. For $3.65 a week, I think that's not asking the citizens a great deal. When you put it like what we're paying on the increase, it may sound like, oh, it's another way for us to raise taxes. But I'm speaking to the television audience and the citizens that we have done all that we can to squeeze this budget, and to get it balanced. And we're not trying to play any tricks on anyone, but the quality of service that you're asking the city to give you, we cannot provide that level of expertise and quality without having some type of increase in those fees. So thank you very much, and I'm willing to pay that $3.65 a week.
Thank you, sir.
Councilman Wright. All right, Council, so there was no action needed for this, Mr. Manager. All right, thank you, sir.
Last public hearing.
All right. And item 7.05, Madam, staff member who will present item 7.05, public hearing to consider proposed amendments to the city charter to change the mode of electing the city council terms to 4 years. Not all at once, staff.
Mayor and Council has discussed on several occasions changing the terms to 4-year terms. This is to require public hearing as a part of that process.
Thank you, Ms. McDonald. All right. At this point, we'll open up the public hearing. Madam Clerk.
Now we have 3 speakers for this item. The first speaker is Mr. Steve McMillan.
Welcome, Pastor.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and distinguished city councilmen. I'd like to say to you that it's a privilege being here addressing this issue, and to our Mr. Chris and all the people that are here on this council. I'd like to say to you, you can examine this issue. I'm personally for this 4-year term. You can examine this thing back and forward, sideways, any way you want to do it. An individual council person that usually come on this council, just getting on the council, it takes about a year, Mr. Hart, even thinking about studying the policy and the procedure on this council. I personally agree with this 4-year term. Furthermore, the citizens of Fayetteville, North Carolina will hold you accountable if this thing is being elected as for its 4-year term. You're not going to ride this ticket just to ride this ticket. We will hold you as citizens of city of Fayetteville accountable for doing what you do and helping the citizens here in the city of Fayetteville. I personally, matter of fact, is for this 4-year term. 2 years, not going to get it. If you're going to do a professional efficiency job, it's going to take time to do it. Reading your policies and your procedures, it takes time. And working with the citizens of the city of Fayetteville, it takes time. But we citizens will hold you accountable. And that's all I have to say to you. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Our next speaker is Mr. Jerry Reinl.
Jerry got us some stuff. He bringing us some information.
Mr. Rhino.
See, this is paperwork, you know, we have to hand out paperwork to everybody.
You must work for the government.
Work for somebody.
Mr. Mayor and distinguished members of the Fayetteville City Council, good evening. My name is Jerry Reinl, 516 Deer Path Drive, Fayetteville, North Carolina. Changing the current 2-year terms of office to 4-year staggered terms is a bad idea. The May 7 work session included a lengthy discussion on this topic. As before, when this item was discussed during a work session, several council members voiced concerns with the proposal. The framers of our Constitution set terms of office for members of the U.S. House of Representatives at 2 years so that members would regularly renew their public trust. The 2-year terms of the North Carolina General Assembly members were modeled after the U.S. Constitution. Many of the elected officials in the 4-year term jurisdictions on that handout that I just passed out have spent decades in office. Council members comment that, quote, "We need to act like the big boys," close quote. The UNC School of Government data is showing the method of election for the 11 largest North Carolina cities, the big boys, is before you. Mayors are elected to 2-year terms in 7 of 11 cities. If you want to act like the big boys, then just leave the current system in place. Some may want to join their counterparts and become career politicians without the inconvenience of facing an electorate every 2 years. Several council members talk about the steep learning curve for a new member. Yours is a policy job and not getting into the weeds and taking over the job of paid city staff experts and certified engineers. The May 7th 7-hour work session included an example of policy types becoming micromanagers. I was one of the few citizens still here for the Western Senior Recreation Center discussion. It was painful hearing council members pretend to be architects discussing the color scheme, window design and placement, and construction materials of a future recreation centers. Policy members becoming micromanagers may be an indicator that they've been on council for too long. 2-year terms give voters a chance to restore government with fresh ideas. The opioid crisis, absent from the budget, is an example of policy types wandering from their elected role to address the real fears of citizens and the danger to their families, friends, and neighbors as we struggle with the drug addiction epidemic. Councilman Crisp has commented several times in the past few years that went something like, quote, "If we do our job, we don't need to worry about getting voters to return us to office," close quote. I agree. Retain the 2-year terms. Thank you.
Makes sense.
And our final speaker is Mr. Charles McKellar.
Mr. McKellar, welcome, sir.
Yes, good evening. It's been a long day, I see.
Sure. Tell me about it.
Mr. Mayor, council members, city staff, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Charles McKellar. I live at 313 Wareham Court in Fayetteville, North Carolina, 28311. First, let me go on record as opposing 4-year terms. I can't think of any municipal government other than I think Hope Mills just recently went to 4-year terms. Members of Congress, as Jerry just stated, the North Carolina House and Senate, they all use 2-year terms. To me, stating that you can't do your job in 2 years tells me that for some reason you are defective. If everybody else can do it, you should be able to do it. In the latest issue, and I would encourage you to read it, although when you read it, have a stiff jaw, because some things are said that are not really being favorable to you. But in the up-and-coming weekly, there's an article by Bill Bowman, the publisher. I do not know the man. I do not know his politics. I do not know the reputation of the weekly in the Fayetteville community. What I do know is that he speaks against 4-year terms in the article, and he states why he feels that way. He states, and I quote him, "Currently, we have about $100 million of new development in downtown Fayetteville." He admits this is a good idea, and I agree. It's a good idea. It's an excellent idea. But he questions whether the community has the dedicated, intelligence, and business-savvy leadership capable of managing such rapid growth. For me personally, I think this council has the ability to provide this leadership. However, You have not yet been tested to prove that I am right. However, we have in Fayetteville a past history that has shown his words to be correct. We are not where we are today in opportunities being lost, poverty at approximately 25%, and the poor being left behind because we have had good leadership. In closing, I just want to say I recommend you read the article, and as Bill Chris said on 1600 last week, past leadership wasn't acceptable, but let's think about what we have today as we move forward. Thank you.
Mayor, we have no further speakers.
With that, we'll close the public hearing. All right. Action required for that?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor. The action. Well, this action.
Hold on one second. Madam Attorney.
This was just the public hearing tonight. No action can be taken.
Thank you. All right. Councilmember Wright, I'll go to you, and then I think the manager is going to brief us something real quick on some good news.
Yes, sir. There's no action taken. I'm okay. I'm good.
No, there's no action required. It's just public. All right, Mr. Manager, get some good news for us. Reference our SLBE.
Yes, sir. Kim Toon from our purchasing staff and Jay Tolan, our interim acting chief financial officer, do have a presentation to share with you on our success in achieving addressing council's goal for small local business enterprise program.
Mr. Toon, tell us what those acronyms are that Mr. Arp said I messed up.
Oh, Small Local Business Enterprise Program. Good evening, City Council, Mayor. Mayor and City Council. I stand before you this evening to update you on our Small Local Business Enterprise Program. City Council directed the small local policy be developed and enhanced economic opportunities local, minority, and disadvantaged businesses owners. The Small Local Business Enterprise Program now has been established and implemented and managed by the Purchasing Division. Finance has worked diligently to build a solid foundation for implementing this initial year of the Small Local Business Enterprise. Our initial efforts are, we have increased our local vendors by 73 since July 1 of 2017, which is a 44% increase between Cumberland County and Hope County. For fiscal year 2018, purchase orders expense of over $81 million, with 38% being spent between Cumberland County and Hope County. Procurement card expenses over $1 million has a 37% being spent between Cumberland and Hope County. The fiscal year contracts have increased over 31% and 29% among our subcontractors. This is the effort that we have put forward for this Small Local Business Enterprise Program, and we will continue to put effort going forward.
Thank you. That's a great job. I know this has been a long time coming, so we're seeing dollars being captured in our community. So good job to you and your team.
Thank you.
Mr. Manager, good job.
Well done, young lady. Well done.
All right, Council. If all hearts and minds are clear.
Adjourn, Mayor.
All right. Thank you.